Howdy, you guys. Let me turn my speaker on right quick. Boom. How you guys doing? It is I, Novakane Omega, aka Black Girl Gamer, with another installment of Each Nine Teach Nine. And this is my first installment on Twitch and elsewhere of Black Friday. So this is what I call Black Friday. And Black Friday is a day where I talk about black things. Duh. Right? Black Friday is when we talk about black issues, okay? Now, obviously, this is Black History Month. So during Black History Month, we're going to be talking about black stuff anyway. But just so y'all know, it's Black History Month all year round for me. So, Black Friday, I'm going to focus on black issues, but I'm always talking about black issues, all right? It's never not a time to talk about this kind of stuff, okay? So we're going to talk about something really, really heavy and deep today. Before we get into that, let me give you some dap, all right? Just like that. Let me give you some dap. Say peace if you are just joining in, and I'm glad to have you. If you can't stay, please share. I'm not going to hold you all night, probably like an hour and 30 minutes, however long it takes to get this information out. But this is a heavy topic. I cried a lot researching this. I did a lot of crying to get this topic together for you guys, so it's not easy. So what we're going to be talking about today is the doll test. All right. But specifically, we're really analyzing black self-hatred and the legacy of racism, prejudice, and biases. I learned from doing voiceover that that's pronounced biases. All right, like biases. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the doll test. We're analyzing the black self-hatred and the legacy of racism, prejudice, and biases. What do I mean by the legacy? We're talking about the babies. All right. So if you know anything about the doll test, you know it was conducted on children. So I'm not going to get that deep into it yet because I don't want to spoil it. But look at that. All right. And real quick, it just consisted of children being shown a white doll and a black doll who were identical in every way except complexion. And they were asked a series of questions about how they felt about the dolls. And this particular test was used as a pivotal turning point in Brown versus the Board of Education, segregation being abolished and all of that stuff. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. So if you're sensitive about stuff, this is going to pull at your heartstrings. If you care about your people, if you care about children, this is going to pull at your heartstrings. All right. It's sad. It's unfortunate. And yeah, so we're about to go deep into it. So who do we have here? Hello there. First class ninja. How you doing? It's always good to have you. All right. Let me give you some dap right away because you're my homie. All right. Cool. So let's get into it. All right. So we're talking about the doll test on this Black Friday. Now, first of all, let me pull up my notes so we can just get right into it. So this doll test and the things that happen as a result of this test and what's going to happen when you see the test, if you're not familiar with this, it's going to pull at your heartstrings if you have a heart. It's made me cry over and over and over. It's very disturbing because these children are just being honest and you see the racism and the biases that are already deep down inside of them. And some of these people are only 6 years old. All right. So, this affects us all, not just black people. So please listen up and please share this. All right. Who else we got here? Yeah. Pound. All right. So first of all, let's start by defining prejudice. All right. I'm not going to define it. I'm going to look it up on Google and we're going to see what the definition of prejudice. Okay. So we're going to start there. Let's see what it is. Make sure y'all can see it too. I haven't shared my screen yet. Share screen. Screen 2. Share audio. Bang. All right. Let me make this big so you can see it. That's what he said. Okay. Prejudice. Preconceived opinion that is not based on reason or actual experience. That's interesting. I like that. Did you see that part? This is very important. It's not based on reason or actual experience. So it's one thing if a dog bit you over and over. Yeah, you don't like dogs now because you got bit by them. But this is more, hey, I just don't like you because of something that I was taught, right? All right. So preconceived idea, preconception, preconceived notion, prejudgment. These are synonyms for it. 2, harm or injury that results or may result from some action or judgment. Detriment, harm, disadvantage, damage, injury. All right. Let's see. What else? A hurt, impairment, loss, disbenefit. Never heard that word before. All right. So let's use these in 2 examples. Sentences. Example 1 is English prejudice against foreigners. Example 2, it says prejudice resulting from delay in the institution of the proceedings. All right. And then it's a verb. Wow. It's even a verb, prejudice. Give rise. So it means to give rise to prejudice in someone, make biased. So you can actively prejudice a person. And that's what this video is about. The way we have prejudiced our children. Okay. Against, particularly black people, against our own race, right? Against our own selves. And then definition 2 says to cause harm to cause harm to. It's like a state of affairs. All right. So in a sentence, it says delay is likely to prejudice the child's welfare. So it's likely to harm the child's welfare. So we can see that it deals with bias and being hurt. Okay. As a result of those biases. All right. All right. Let's keep it there. Now let's put the definition of racism. This is a definition that is often mismanaged. I'll say, like, people don't all agree on this definition. Shut up, phone. Okay. Prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. Okay. So it just says prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism. Now, some black people define prejudice, I've noticed, as not prejudice, racism. Some black people have a different definition of it where it's not just about prejudice. It's actively being able to affect and hurt someone based on your prejudices. So prejudice is just how you feel, but racism supposedly is the act of you putting into motion your prejudice, causing me to lose my job or causing me to not be able to get something done that I'm trying to get done or whatever it is. Okay. So, but racism and prejudice are pretty much the same thing. It's just racism. Thank you. He says I'm spitting bars. Thank you very much. And I'm just getting started. So please stay tuned. Racism is heavier than prejudice. It's when you kind of put that shit in when you start throwing punches with the prejudice. You feel what I mean? All right. So that's my definition. But so people have varying definitions about it. But to me, it's semantics. Bias, racism, and prejudice are pretty much the same thing. All right. Semantics just means wordplay. All right. Now let's look at the definition of bias. It should pretty much be the same as the definition of racism. Let's look it up. Bias. Okay. Prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. All right, let me make this even bigger for you guys so you can see it. That might be a little too big. Okay, let's do it again. Prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. In a sentence, there was evidence of bias against foreign applicants. All right, synonyms: prejudice, partiality, partisanship, favoritism, unfairness, bigotry, intolerance, racism, racialism, sexism, heteroism, homophobia, chauvinism, anti-Semitism, blah, 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 blah. These are all different kinds of prejudice, okay? Predilection or predilection, propensity, proclivity, proneness, all right? Antonyms: objectivity, fairness, and impartiality, all right? And then 2, in some sports, such as lawn bowling, the irregular shape given to a ball. Oh, that's called a bias. Okay, I didn't know that. As a verb, I find it interesting that prejudice and bias, and probably racism too, can be used as a verb. Isn't that interesting? You can actively bias. You can actively prejudice. Okay. So as a verb, 1, cause to feel or show inclination or prejudice for or against someone or something. Readers said the paper was biased towards the conservatives, right? And then 2, it says give a bias to or bias the ball. All right. So once again, you're talking about a preconceived thing that you're going to apply to something, and it may not necessarily be based in facts. Okay. And then the harm a lot of times that comes as a result of that bias. That's the important part. Okay. Cool. So now that we've defined these things and we're all on the same damn page, because everybody likes to argue about the terms and the terminology. Who cares about that? It's about these babies. And when you see these videos with these babies, you're going to feel the same way I feel if you care. All right. So cool. What's next here? What do we want to say? So first, let's talk about the doll test itself. Like, what is it? Where did it come from? Who conducted it? Blah, blah, blah. All right. So we're going to read this article together. Thank you guys for being here. And please say peace if you're there. Don't just lurk. I want you to at least say peace to me and then you could go. All right. So let's read about the history of the doll test together. This is a History Channel article. How dolls helped win Brown v. the Board of Education. Let me make this bigger here. Okay. That's as good as it's going to get. All right. So it says, Doodly do. All right. Deceptively simple doll tests help convince the Supreme Court to strike down school segregation. And it's funny because you can see the racism of how people feel about the doll test. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Because these black people in the 40s conducted this test. A couple from Howard, they conducted these tests, and a lot of critics tried to criticize the test. But the test is so effective. That's the reason why people keep doing the test over and over and over, because it is simple. And it's the simple stuff that's the best stuff, the most powerful stuff. Forget all that extra stuff. Show them the doll babies and ask them how they feel about these doll babies. All right? Let's see. You still here? I know you are. All right? So let's get it in. All right. So dolls are for kids. So why are they in front of the most esteemed judges in the United States as they deliberated on Brown versus the Board of Education, the landmark 1954 case that eventually overturned separate but equal segregation in the United States? That eventually overturned separate but equal segregation in the United States. There we go. The Supreme Court justices contemplated oral arguments and pored over case transcripts, but they also considered black and white baby dolls unexpected weapons in the plaintiff's fight against racial discrimination. The dolls were a part of a groundbreaking psychological experiment performed by Mamie and Ken, performed by power couple. I'm gonna add power couple in there. Performed by power black couple, Mamie and Kenneth Clark, a husband and wife team of African-American psychologists who devoted their life's work to understanding and helping heal children's racial biases. During the doll test, as they're now known, a majority of African-American children showed a preference for dolls with white skin instead of black ones, a consequence, the Clarks argued, of the pernicious effects of segregation. All right, I'm going to talk about this too in a minute. I'm going to get a little bit deeper about this. From my perspective, the Clarks' work and their testimony in the underlying cases that became Brown versus Board of Education helped the Supreme Court justices and the nation understand some of the lingering effects of segregation on the very children it affected most. For the Clarks, the results showed the devastating effects of life in a society that was intolerant of African Americans. Their experiment, which involved brown and white skinned dolls, was deceptively simple. In a reflection of the racial biases of the time, the Clarks had to paint a white baby doll. Wow, I didn't even know. They had to paint a white baby doll brown just to have a brown baby doll. All right, let me make the screen big just to say that, so you hear it. I want you to look at me. They had to paint a white baby doll brown just to have a brown baby doll to do this experiment. All right. That tells you a lot. All right. The children were asked to identify the diapered dolls in a number of ways. The one that they wanted to play with, the one that looked white, colored, or Negro, the one that was good or bad. Finally, they were asked to identify the doll that looked most like them. And this is usually when I start to cry. All right. So that's wifey right there. That's Miss Clark. She was the wife team, a part of the team, all right, and they were both psychologists who graduated from Howard University. All of the children tested were black, and all but one group attended segregated schools. Most of the children preferred the white doll to the African American one. Some of the children would cry and run out of the room when asked to identify which doll looked like them. These results upset the Clarks so much that they delayed publishing their conclusions. And it's the same way with me. When you see these, I'm about to show you some videos. They don't have, I haven't been able to find any video of the original old footage, but I have video of the many doll tests that have been conducted since this. And they tested it on more than black children. They tested it on multiracial children. And there's even one I'm going to show you that took place in Italy. And you're going to see how deep white supremacy goes inside of everybody on the planet and how bad this is, okay? But the children make you feel like a bad adult when you see this, all right? Especially if you're guilty of pushing your prejudices on your children unfairly, right? So some of the children would cry and run out, all right? Mamie Clark had connections to the growing legal struggle to overturn segregation. She had worked in the office of one of the lawyers who helped lay the foundation for Brown versus the Board of Education. When the NAACP learned of Clark's work, they asked him to participate in a case that would later be rolled into the class action case that went to the Supreme Court. So Kenneth Clark headed to Clarendon County, South Carolina, to replicate his test with black children there. It was a terrifying experience, he recalled later, especially when his NAACP host was threatened in his presence. But we had to test those children, he recalled. These children saw themselves as inferior, and they accepted the inferiority as a part of their reality. Thurgood Marshall was eager to use the Clarks' work in the bigger class action case that would become Brown versus the Board of Education, but not everyone was convinced. Attorney Spotswood Robinson told an observer that it was crazy and insulting to persuade a court of law with examples of children crying and dolls. See how dumb people are? All that matters is the babies, y'all. But using how children react to seeing a black doll versus a white doll wasn't good enough for this person. Anyway, but the court didn't think so. Kenneth Clark testified at 3 of the trials and helped write a summary of all 5 trials' social science testimony that was used in the Supreme Court case. He told judges and juries that African American children's preference for white dolls represented psychological damage that was reinforced by segregation. Okay, let me see. All right, it's not that long. I'll keep reading it. My opinion, this is a quote, my opinion is that a fundamental effect of segregation is basic confusion in the individuals and their concepts about themselves conflicting in their self-images, he told the jury in the Briggs case. The sense of inferiority caused by segregation had real, lifelong consequences, he argued. Consequences that started before children could even articulate any information about race. Right? The Clarks' work and testimony were part of a much broader case that combined 5 cases and covered nearly every aspect of school segregation, and some historians argue that the doll test played a relatively significant part in the court's decision. I would imagine so. But echoes of the Clarks' results ring through the unanimous opinion of the Supreme Court justices. Nettie Hunt, blah, blah, blah. Let me see. To separate black children from others of similar age and qualifications solely because of their race generates a feeling of inferiority as to their status in the community that may affect their hearts and minds in a way unlikely ever to be undone, wrote Chief Justice Earl Warren in the opinion. The Clarks' work helped strike down segregation in the United States. Today, one of the black dolls is on display at the Brown versus Board of Education National Historic Site in Kansas, and integration is the law of the land. But the racial biases, the couple, this is the important part. This is where you and I come in. All right. But the racial biases the couple documented in the 1930s and 40s still exist. In 2010, CNN commissioned an updated version of the study using cartoon depictions of children and a color bar that showed a range of skin tones and found results that were strikingly similar to those shown by the Clarks. In the new test, child development researcher Margaret Beal Spencer tested 133 kids from schools with different racial and income mixes. This time, the studies looked at white children too. And though black children seem to hold more positive views toward black dolls, white children maintain an intense bias toward whiteness. We are still living in a society where dark things are devalued and white things are valued, Spencer told CNN. Jim Crow segregation may no longer exist in the United States, but racial bias is alive and well. All right, end quote. Okay. So these are the dangers of the doll test. Now, what I'm about to show you is a series of doll tests done around the world. Most of these videos are about 4 minutes long, so you don't have to, don't let your impatience because you're ready to play a damn video game or whatever it is take you away from learning something cool. Okay. This is not going to take long before you get to see the point if you're not already familiar with these tests. Okay. So we're talking about racial biases. If you are just joining in, please share. I'm Black Girl Gamer. You can follow me at that on different platforms, particularly Twitch, but also at Novakane Omega on all the other platforms, Each 9 Teach 9, and SoulTrustRecords.com. As well, if you want to donate, you can donate to Soul Trust Records, $ Soul Trust Records. Okay, so we're talking about the doll test. This is Black Friday. All right, on the Black Girl Gamer show. It's not called that, but yeah, this is Black Friday, and we're talking about analyzing black self-hatred and the legacy of racism and prejudice, not just racism and prejudice itself, but how it affects these babies. All right, let's keep going. So now I'm going to show you the first doll test, the CNN doll test. Okay. And you're going to see exactly how they were conducted and what they did. So this is 2 videos long. Again, these are both pretty short. So just sit tight and you're going to see. Okay. And I'm going to try not to start crying again as I watch these videos. All right. Let's start with this one. Boop, boop, boop. Boom. Okay.
Anderson Cooper.
The Bachelor is back. Stream it live on ABC with YouTube TV.
Who cares about The Bachelor? All right.
That face that is usually covered by her phone has finally made an appearance.
All right, here we go.
Cooper, AC 360, CNN weeknights 10 Eastern.
So this is the 2010 one.
Lots of different colors for skin.
I have
questions for you about these pictures of different children.
After I read the question, I want you to point to the picture that fits the story.
Are children colorblind in America?
Show me the smart child.
Show me the mean child.
Can you show me the dumb child?
Show me the nice child.
Is bias measurable even at an early age?
Why is she the bad child?
Because he's black.
And why is he the ugly child?
Because he looks like he's white.
Why is he the dumb child?
Because he has dark brown skin.
Why is she the bad child?
Because he makes fun of everybody else's skin color.
How much do kids learn from what they see and hear from adults?
Show me the child who has the skin color most adults like.
And show me the child who has a skin color most adults don't like.
These are questions that we, along with CNN's Soledad O'Brien and a team of psychologists hired by CNN, spent months investigating through tests, interviews with children and their parents. But they're questions that have been asked for decades. The first doll study ignited controversy in the 1940s, when psychologists Kenneth and Mamie Clark pioneered studies in the effects of segregation in schools by asking African American kids to choose between black and white dolls. The so-called doll test found black kids overwhelmingly preferred white over black. Those results were at the center of the landmark 1954 Supreme Court case Brown versus the Board of Education that desegregated American schools. Now, with the first African-American president and nearly 60 years after segregation was overturned, we wondered, where are we today? How do kids see differences in race? What we discovered might shock you, but first, how we got there.
Skin color, child skin color estimate.
Okay, yeah.
We asked renowned child psychologist and University of Chicago researcher Dr. Margaret Beal Spencer to design a pilot study for CNN and analyze the results.
Our children are always near us, because we're a society. And what we put out there, kids report back. You ask the question, they'll give you the answer.
Spencer's team tested more than 130 kids in 8 schools with very different racial and economic demographics. Half of the schools were in the north, half in the south. Oh, nicely done. While the country is much more diverse today than in the 1940s, the children in this project are from 2 age groups and 2 races, white and black, to better allow comparison to the original doll study. 4- and 5-year-old children were asked a series of questions about these images. 9- and 10-year-old children were asked questions about the same images, as well as this color bar chart. The test led us to 3 major findings. First, white children as a whole responded with a high rate of what researchers call white bias, identifying the color of their own skin with positive attributes and
White supremacy
with negative attributes.
Show me the dumb child.
Dumb child.
Okay, why is she the dumb child?
Because she has black skin.
Show me the mean child. Why is he the mean child?
Because he's brown.
Show me the bad child. Why is he the bad child?
Because he's black.
Okay. Show me the ugly child. Why is he the ugly child?
Because he's brown, black.
Show me the child who has the skin color most adults like. And show me the child who has the skin color most adults don't like. Show me the child who has the skin color most children like. Show me the child who has the skin color most children don't like. Show me the child who has the skin color most girls want. Show me the child who has the skin color most girls don't want.
The questions that got overwhelmingly white-biased answers?
Show me the dumb child.
About 76% of the younger white children pointed to the 2 darkest skin tones.
76%.
Child.
About 66% of the younger white children pointed to the 2 darkest skin tones.
Show me the child who has the skin color most children don't like.
Again, about 66% of the younger white children pointed to the 2 darkest skin tones.
Show me the bad child.
More than 59% of the older white children pointed to the 2 darkest skin tones. But some white children did have more race-neutral responses.
So could you show me the good-looking child?
Notice that these children are older, so they have had time to develop PC answers. So I'm not even sure that these are how they really feel. It's just that they've gotten old enough to know that it's wrong to be biased. So even if they have biases, they're not going to say it because they're old enough to know that you shouldn't say that. Those younger 5-year-olds, they're not old enough totally to know that all the way. You know what I mean? So that's something to consider with these children's answers. You know, I was this type of child at this age at like 10 where I knew enough about society to know, okay, I'm not supposed to say that. Right? So these children are giving PC answers, if you ask me. But just my opinion.
So what are you thinking? I know you pointed to them all, but tell me what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that I do not care if they are black, white, mixed, or any kind of race. I think that it matters who they really are.
All right.
January 2017, we had gone to watch one of my nephews play basketball.
Okay. Well. All right. So that's the end of that video. And then that's just half of it. Let me show you the other half. So pretty short vid. Yeah.
Our second major finding, even black children as a whole have some bias toward whiteness, but far less than white children.
Show me the smart child. And why is she the smart child?
Because she is white.
Okay. Show me the dumb child. And why is she the dumb child?
Because she hates.
Oh my God.
Well, show me the ugly child. And why is she the ugly child?
Because she's black.
Show me the good-looking child. And why is she the good-looking child?
Because she's light-skinned.
And show me the skin color you believe most teachers think looks bad on a girl.
I don't think it matters. Because I think each teacher wants to help a student learn either way what they look like. And it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it just matters what you look like on the inside.
Oh.
Show me the good-looking child.
If only.
They look the same.
Yeah?
See, like him, his answer is politically correct.
As a classmate.
They look the same.
All of them.
You like all of them as classmates?
All lives matter is his
Why do you say
answer.
all of them?
Because I don't really care what color they have.
This 5-year-old girl gave some provocative answers during her test. I asked her about them later.
Don't you? Why do you want that skin color?
Because it looks lighter than this kind.
She wants the skin color because it looks lighter than her own. That's what she said.
I just don't like the way brown looks, because the way brown looks really nasty for some reason. But
She said brown looks nasty for some reason. She doesn't even know why.
So you think it looks nasty?
Well, not really, but sometimes.
Sometimes. And Brielle, they asked what color adults don't like. Do you remember what you said?
What color don't adults like? Show them, little girl.
That's right, that's what you said. Why do you think adults don't like that color?
Dark.
Dark. And adults, you think adults don't like dark?
Well, maybe some adults do,
But most of them don't. Drop jewels, little girl.
The questions that got overwhelmingly white-biased answers?
Show me the one you think most children would think looks bad on a boy.
More than 70% of the older black children chose the darkest skin tones.
Show me the child who has the skin color most children don't like.
More than 61% of the younger black children chose the 2 darkest shades.
Show me the ugly child.
More than 57% of the younger black kids chose the 2 darkest shades. Dr. Spencer says the research shows the bias toward white is still very much part of our culture.
All kids are exposed to these stereotypes, but what's really significant here is that white children are learning or maintaining those stereotypes much more strongly than the African American children.
And that is our third finding, the finding that interested Dr. Spencer the most. That overall, younger and older children keep the same patterns, stereotyping. In other words, their ideas change little from age 5 to 10.
Ordinarily, by the time children are older, there's sort of a natural filter, their own ways of thinking sort of aids them in sort of rethinking the extreme stereotypic sort of responses to become less highly biased.
That left Professor Spencer wondering what's causing this pattern. She speculates that kids are bombarded by stereotypical messages, and that adults in kids' lives have to fight to override the deluge. Black parents may be more diligent about that, while white parents may not notice the need.
The messages are the same for all children, and therefore the task is the same for all parents. Parents have to reframe what children experience.
We realize these findings may be disturbing and that some people will question this project's conclusions. What stereotypic messages are being sent in a country that elected a black man president?
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
Like all research projects, ours is not perfect. Some kids were told ahead of time they'd be asked about race. Some children identified as one race but came from biracial families, like this boy whose mom is white. But Professor Spencer tells us these are common issues in research, and the results can still be trusted because of the sample size. To be clear, this is a scientifically informed and executed pilot study, which suggests the need for further research. The results point to major trends, but are not the definitive word on children and race.
All right, so we'll stop there. So they're kind of covering their ass with that last part. What he was saying at the end, two things. First of all, what she was saying, all right? She was saying that normally when you ask a child at like a 5-year-old age, or you ask a group of children a question, if you ask a similar group but who are just older, the same questions, usually they will kind of, because they're older, like kind of what I said about the PC answers, you would expect more children to have more PC answers than that, like at the age 10. Like by 10, you kind of learn, oh, okay, that's not right, or it's not right to hit girls, or it's not right to do, you know what I mean? She was saying that she found it to be, what stood out to her was that these children, as they got older, they maintained the biases that they had when they were 5 years old. And so she was wondering, why is that the case when that's not the case with other stuff a lot of times? And she felt like it was because of the inundation of constant white supremacist messages that are being washed over the children at all times until their adulthood. So they never really lose the biases. And because both black and white people share the biases against blackness and in favor of whiteness, it's even harder to break it, because it's not just white people enforcing this on us. This is us perpetuating it. All right. So that was the thing that stood out for her. Another thing, all that stuff he said at the end about some people say that this test is not a good test because this, and this. So there's the scientific method with control and variable and all of that. So some people felt like, hey, there's too many variables to say for sure that these kids have been affected by racial bias. But they were like, we tested a lot of kids and we've been doing this for decades. Everybody pretty much always says the same thing. You can pretty much take these results for what they are. You know what I mean? We live in a racist ass society. We're teaching the children racism, whether it's subliminal or it's direct, whether it's covert or overt. We're teaching them racism because why isn't it? If it's so random and so many variables, why didn't more children pick the black doll as being the good doll? Why didn't more children? It's almost like these other scientists that are criticizing the test in a roundabout way are being racist, because it's like saying, well, no, there's some other reason why these children only pick the black doll as being bad. It's because black people are actually bad and children can see it. Is that what you're saying? You know, oh, these tests aren't good because this. It's like, no, show children 2 doll babies, the only difference being race, and ask them to identify which one is white and black. Now tell me which one is bad, which one is good, which one is prettiest, which one is ugliest, which one do adults think is ugliest, which one do adults think is dumb, which one. They're picking the black child almost every time for the bad stuff across the board, no matter what the race is. So no, the test is good enough. It works good enough for you to logically conclude that racism exists, but you shouldn't have to do all of this to see that racism is a problem. But seeing the children regurgitate our racist ass bullshit that we say out of our mouths, that is what this test is about. It's about waking adults up to what we're doing to these babies. Okay? So that's what it's about. All right. So I'm going to show you 2 more videos before we leave. We're only about 30 minutes in, so I got a little bit of time with you. One will be another study that was conducted in Italy. This one really made me cry again. I don't know, something about it being in another country made it even worse for me, because I think we're used to the extreme racism in America. But when you see how bad white supremacy is in other countries, you realize that this is a global problem, and it's a mental disease. It's a psychological disorder, white supremacy. OK, so we're going to look at that. And then we're going to look at another short video with dark skinned people explaining how they feel about being dark. All right. So If you are just joining in, make sure you say peace, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. I am Black Girl Gamer, aka Novakane Omega, and today we are talking about the doll test, okay? And you gotta laugh to keep from crying because this is sad. This is a sad state of affairs when the babies are so racist after just being born, and everyone knows that children are not inherently racist. They're not inherently racist. They'll play with any child. They'll play with anyone. They're innocent, all right? This is adults doing this to these babies, all right? And I'm not saying that we wouldn't have our own natural cultural biases if it were not for white supremacy. But to the extreme where all black kids got to feel like they ain't shit, the darker they are, we got to fix this now. Now. Or black people will never get out of the situation that we're in. All right? All right. So we're analyzing self-hatred and the legacy of it. Okay. So let me see. Let me get my bearings here. So you've seen that. So they're asking which doll is prettiest, nicest, smartest, bad, which do adults like, which do kids like, which has the skin you want, right? Though all these kind of questions. So I'm going to get in a minute into why I think kids are picking the black doll as the bad doll and the white doll as the good doll. And some of my opinions about these tests and what we can do to stop it, and then we will depart. Okay, so let's run the next video. The next video is the Italian test. Now there's other tests I was going to show you, but oh no, there are actually a few more videos. Actually, I'm going to show you this Italian doll test first. I'm going to show you a short video about with children talking about how they feel to be Mexican, how they feel being Dominican, how they feel being black, how they feel, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to show you the dark skin video. All right, so let's go to the Italian doll test. It's just a 2-minute video. Okay. And this is just to show you the effects of this shit all over the world, not just in America. Video will play after ad, damn it. Shut up. Do y'all talk to the TV like this? Like, shut up. Okay. So it says the doll test is a psychological experiment designed in the 1940s in the USA to test the degree of marginalization felt by African American children caused by prejudice, discrimination, and racial segregation. Come on. I guess they want to make sure you can read it. We have recreated it with Italian children. So already I want you to notice that Italian children come in all races. All right. Sometimes when we think, oh, Chinese people, African people, Hawaiians, you know, different races of people can be born a place and be considered Hawaiian or Chinese or whatever because they were born there. All right. So these are black Italians, Asian Italians, and all kind of other colors. And I want you to see how they feel about blackness.
Quale bambola è bianca?
So which one is white?
Quale bambola è nera?
Nera.
Quale delle due è bella?
Questa.
Qual è quella bella? Qual è quella brutta?
Now, right quick, you can really see it in this video. Children are eager to please, aren't they? So sometimes they're thinking, hey, this is the right answer. This is the answer that this adult will be pleased with. And you can see some of them being pleased with their answer. Like the white doll is pretty. Isn't that right? The black doll, they're children. So they're like, this is what this adult wants to hear. Right? So just kind of bear that in mind. And some of the children, you can see their shame too when they're answering these questions. There's a part of them that knows that this is a shameful state of affairs, but they don't know why.
E qual è quella buona?
And he's beautiful. Oh gosh, look at the beautiful children.
Quale è cattiva?
Oh my God. Do not cry. No, I will cry so bad.
Lei.
Perché è buona?
Perché ha gli occhi celesti.
Quale è cattiva?
Why?
Perché è cattiva?
Perché è tutto nero.
E qual è la bambola che ti somiglia di più?
So check out who said this quote. Check out the Albert Einstein. So you know he knows how to break an atom.
È nera.
È offeso.
Check her out.
Tu. Perché mi hai chiamato nera?
Perché ti offendo?
Mi offendi perché altri bambini mi hanno offeso con cattiveria.
No, io non ho usato nessuna cattiveria.
Quello mi sta guardando storto.
So, all right. So you see it. All right, let me make this big here. So I have cried just a bit here. I'm very tender and I can't handle that kind of stuff. Take a nap before looking forward to your next year. All right, do your thing. It's nice to have you. Let me give you some dap before you take your nap. That rhymes. Bang, 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 bang. All right. Dap of power to you, sir. And I always love having you around. Be good. All right. Okay. So y'all saw that, right? So those were Italian children. Those were not American children. And you could see their gears turning as they answered these questions. Because at the end of it, like I said, some children cry when they're asked that question because they're not stupid, y'all. So you just ask this child to point out the good and bad doll. And you take this child through all these emotions, right? This is what it's like to be black. This is what it's like to be black, especially to be dark and black. And I don't care for those of you that think I'm too light-skinned to talk about this. F you, man. I think that's so stupid, right? Stop doing that. I'm black. But if I wasn't black, I can't notice racism. I can't notice biases. You know what I mean? So these children are being taken through a cycle. Imagine someone asking you these type of questions and you don't know where they're going, right? And at the end, they're going to say, which one looks the most like you? So it's just like, which one is bad? This black one. Which one is the liar doll, the thieving doll, whatever. This black one. And then at the end, you ask this child, and which one looks the most like you? You could see that effect that it has on some of these children, especially children who are swift and smart. They're like, wait a minute. You know what I mean? So for a lot of them, this is probably the first time that they may have realized or were confronted with the reality of self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? All right. So I'm going to show you 2 more videos, and then we're going to get in depth about why we think this is and what we can do to solve it, because it's not just about breaking this stuff down. It's about what we can do to fix this, because all of us have children or grandchildren or whatever that we can affect now before they get so solidified in these ideas that they grow up and become these people who end up killing somebody or something because they were another color, like Zimmerman or something like that. You know, seeing this child with his Skittles walking down the street incites you so much because of all these years and years of shit that's being piled up into your brain about being black or being white or whatever it is, right? And it's all a bunch of lies. Okay? All right. So thank you. How you doing, Ramesu? Good to see you. Beautiful facilitation. Thank you. I'm trying to present this information to whereas I'm not in the middle of it. You feel what I mean? Like some of us, we're so enchanted with having viewers and followers, we forget that like it's not about you. It's not about me. Like, you know, we're destitute, and I'm tired of passing this shit down to these babies. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of arguing about this. I'm tired of talking about it, and I want to see something change. All right? So we're all in this together, and we got to start with these babies. You know what I mean? Anti-black racism must be defeated. It's affecting the children. Come on, I Am Legend. That's right. It is. And it's affecting our future by it affecting the children. These are the people that are going to take care of the world when they grow up. And they need to, but they don't need the kumbaya history neither. They need to know really what we've gone through in this country, what we've gone through as people and as a result of white supremacy. But we need to let them be able to start leaving this stuff behind so they don't have to inherit so much of it every time a new generation gets born. All right. So now let's look at a video of some children talking about racism themselves. All right. And what it's like to be, you know, whatever color or nationality and stuff. And then we're going to get a little deeper into what we can do to fix this stuff. All right. So please hang around, share the video and stuff like that. Okay. I appreciate you. All right. So this is Kids on Race. Let's see. Bang.
I'm from Haiti and Nigeria. Like 3 things, like I'm Dominican, Puerto Rican, and black. I'm biracial. I have an African-American father and an Irish-American mom.
My name's Mamie. I'm Muslim.
I'm Indian, British, Scottish, and American.
All right. Did you notice? I want you to take note of that before we move on. She said she was Indian, British, Scottish, and American. She did not name a race. She named all nationalities. We're going to talk about that in a minute. She thinks of herself as coming from a nation, or her family's coming from some nation, not just being based on their color, but where they actually came from in the world. And that's important. I think that's something that we can do to help heal these children, too. All right, we'll talk about it in a second. Being 12.
My parents are from Venezuela, and I was sharing like one of the foods that we eat, and then I got made fun of. They were like, "What is that? Ew. Oh, ew. What is that?" And like I cried because I felt like, oh, there's something wrong where I'm from. Like maybe like it's bad. Like I'm different.
I am an African American adopted girl, only child, and I live with my two dads.
I remember when I was younger, I went with my family to a restaurant, and they made us pay in advance just in case we didn't pay afterwards, and that was kind of upsetting.
You start to notice that people are different, and you have comments. They might be racist or they might not be, but by the time you get older, you know that it is racist and you should stop.
I feel a little scared about if I, just walk down the street, cops might just think I'm doing something bad, and then if I'm trying to explain to them, they won't listen and then just start beating me up and doing terrible things to me.
I think there's this anxiety that kind of comes with being biracial, that kind of eats away at you, almost like you have to prove yourself that you're one or the other. For example, I hear the phrase, "You're not black," all the time.
People sometimes think that I'm supposed to talk ghetto or whatever that is.
Oh, she's uneducated because she's African American.
Because I'm Hispanic or Latino, I can't have a lot of money.
Just this weekend, I went with my friend to Urban Outfitters, and we were shopping, and I really wanted to try on this dress, and then this lady that was just there, she was kind of watching me, and I'm just I'm not gonna steal it or anything.
I think white privilege is the idea that in your everyday life you're getting treated differently and sometimes with more respect, or people just trust you more, or they have certain expectations of you, like you might be smarter or you might be wealthier. Because you're white, it makes me feel guilty sometimes, even though it's not my fault. I feel guilty for having a privilege that I don't deserve.
If I was ever the mayor or something that controls the policemen, I would want to go out and look in the neighborhoods where there are people that's very friendly, so you can pick them instead of these guys that's just doing all this training. It's better to pick people that's more minded with the community than to just pick some new guy and get on the street. It's not gonna work out.
We have these
wisdom.
They're Ecuadorian, and they get made fun of because they look Mexican, and they get told on a daily basis, "Oh, you like tacos? Oh, you like churros? How come I saw your mom on the corner selling ices?" I feel bad for them personally, because I'm wow, they're not, and even though they tell them I'm not Mexican, I'm Ecuadorian, they still get teased.
Something I want you to notice about what she just said. Now imagine being a little girl. She seems like she has a good head on her shoulders, but imagine just being an average little girl. Wouldn't that make you not want to be Ecuadorian? She's another kind of Hispanic person. I think she was Dominican. I can't remember what she said she was. But there's a part of you that's well, at least I'm not Mexican. At least I'm not Ecuadorian. I might be this kind of Spanish, but at least I'm not that kind of Spanish. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's because of what she just said. She knows some people who are Ecuadorian, not Mexican, and they're being treated like they're Mexican, and they're being treated worse because they're being treated like they're Mexican. So there's tiers of who is acceptable. It's a hierarchy of brown that's acceptable and brown that isn't. You know what I'm saying? And this is bad, all right? And these children are so beautiful. What's wrong with everybody? But I know what's wrong with us, you know, just human beings. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and show the last video and get it out of the way so I can round up my spiel and let you guys get on with your day. Later on today, I will be playing, not on Facebook because Facebook's going to shut me down, but on Twitch. I will be playing School Days to kind of comment on this type of colorism and racial colorism and stuff like that. I'm going to play School Days, one of my favorite movies by Spike Lee about light skin versus dark skin. All right, so let me play this other video and then I will let you go after I make some pointers here. Where is it? BuzzFeed, dark skin. What dark skin people won't tell you. Hell yeah, let's go. All right, so again,
it's something that I don't usually talk.
This is a 5-minute video, so stick around, please.
About because I'm afraid that I'm making people uncomfortable. It's something that affects me in almost every aspect of life.
There's something about having dark skin on a woman's body that shapes the way she moves through the world. There's something about having darker skin on a male body that shapes the way in which he moves through the world. It has real life stakes.
From what I've seen growing up, dark skin equates to being poor, dirty, ratchet.
They tend to be the bad guys in Tyler Perry movies, straight from the border.
That doesn't even make any sense. I'm not deemed as beautiful, therefore I am not beautiful. And those two are not really mutually exclusive.
Could it be that something as early as colonization or slavery is primarily responsible for our beauty standards today? We're talking about who works in the field and who works in the house. We're also talking about rape, the rape of slaves to produce people who are known as mulattoes or mixed race. These standards of beauty travel. Eurocentric standards of beauty travel.
In the Dominican society and our culture, they have a phrase that's like mejorando la raza, advancing the Dominican population and making sure we're going into how they say the better. If you're lighter, you're bettering the race and you're bettering the island versus if you're just being you.
I would get called the blackness. One joke that really stuck with me was like, oh, Edgar's so black that when he leaves a car, the check engine light turns on. That was in reference to my skin being as dark as oil. I felt ugly being of a darker skin tone. So I tried to gel my hair, or I started listening to skater punk music. So I tried culturally to lighten myself, if that makes sense.
I went on a trip to Korea with my mom. Some woman walked up to my mom and she asked, "Why is your daughter so dark?" In Korea, you have to be pale, and I almost felt like a foreigner and not so much Korean anymore.
When we turn off the lights, they say, "Oh, Salorm, where did you go?" Or, "Oh, you're really pretty for a dark-skinned girl." Are you saying that my race and just the fact that I am black, is that not attractive in general?
I remembered one time that I wanted to be an angel in a parade.
Now, her story is sad, you know, just another racist story. But if you're looking at her, you can tell that she's not through this. She's still dealing with how she feels about how she looks because she has blue contacts, blue hair. Not judging you if your hair is blue or pink or anything like that. But some people do it because they have a problem with just looking how they look naturally because of something someone said to them when they were young. And I think she is one of those people. I don't think she just has blue hair because she likes blue hair, or that she has blue eyes because, oh, I just like blue eyes. I think if she could take a magic pill and be lighter, she would. And even though she knows that it's not right, you know, a lot of people wouldn't admit to this, but if they could take a pill and be white, they would. All right, so yeah.
At that time, they were like kind of racist, you know, they didn't like black people to be angels. And my mommy got kind of freaked out. She was going like, "Please don't, you cannot be an angel."
Listen to what her mom is saying. You can't be an angel.
I said, "But mommy, I am an angel." And finally, I was an angel. And I was the only black angel walking in the street. And my mommy was so proud about it, and I was proud too.
My mom started buying me a cream called Fair and Lovely. I was in 3rd grade when I started using bleaching creams.
Bleaching creams.
And the whole general idea was, if I'm lighter, I'll have a better life. I'll find somebody that's gonna love me. There would still be light and dark patches on my body and my face. It's painful, it would hurt, and I started breaking out in like bad rashes, and no one said anything. I had to stop it myself.
How do we fix this? We think critically about colorism. We think about where it began and where it begins and ends with us.
I think change starts with providing more diversity. You know, providing more examples of people that look like you.
If you look at telenovelas, they usually cast the dark-skinned person as the villain. And if you never met a Latino before, you're gonna somewhat think that.
So in Japanese media, I honestly don't think I've ever seen a darker-skinned female.
I
feel
haven't
it would be nice to see a change.
It needs to start within our own culture, where we can't have Will Smith filling in every slot for black people. Giving dark-skinned people roles that are not only supporting roles, but leading roles.
I mean, a legit, badass 007 Latino James Bond, that'd be pretty dope. I'm just saying.
If I could give a message to someone like me,
Who's kind of looking at himself and feeling insecure.
Just know, baby, you beautiful.
Believe in yourself.
Just be you.
You are perfect just the way you are. That's something that no one has ever told me.
And your skin color is a gift. It's never been a blemish or a problem.
when you grow up and you look in the mirror and you're proud of who you are, it will make sense and all the other voices will go away. And all that's going to be left is you.
Wisdom is wise words being spoken. All right, so now I'm going to dap you guys up. I'm going to make a few points and go ahead and let you go. So yeah, I have already cried twice since this video has aired because I am a crybaby and I cannot help myself when you start talking about people hating themselves. And not hating themselves because they killed somebody or because they raped somebody or they cut the stream. They'll be all right. Are you still here? Can you still hear me though right here? Well, I know I'm still live on Twitch, so even if they did cut it and they or whatever. But it's all good. So anyway, we're talking about colorism, and not colorism, we're talking about the doll test in particular. So I showed a few videos of the children picking out the good and bad dolls and stuff like that. How most of them picked the black doll as the bad doll, the ugly doll, the untrustworthy doll, the doll that no adult likes, that no child likes. All of them kept picking the black doll. All right. So that's what this video has been about. You hearing an echo? Jeez. It's always something. Let me see if I'm hearing one right here. It's always something. Let me see if I'm hearing one. So I don't know why that is. It's not happening, at least on Twitch. So hopefully it's not happening on the other platforms. But too late. I done did this whole video now. I'm just going to go ahead and round it up with you guys. And then we're going to keep going. Okay. And then let you go on about your business. All right. What happened? Like, really, what is going on? You're on YouTube and that's what's going on. That's what's going on. You're on YouTube. If you can still hear me, come over to Facebook or go to Twitch. I'm going to talk for probably about 20 more minutes. So hopefully everything is still good. But yeah, I didn't even know anybody was following me on YouTube. That's hot. Usually I don't have any, I don't really focus on my YouTube page too much. But I'm at Black Girl Gamer on Twitch. If you have Twitch, I'm at Novakane Omega on Facebook. If you're on Facebook. Okay. So that's the best I can do. All right. So now let's talk about this though. Let's analyze it for ourselves. So now we've done all our research. We're scientists. What do we think about this? Why? First of all, let's talk about why. Why are the children like this? Why are all the children, even in other countries, picking this black doll as the bad doll? Now, I think you know why, but let's just analyze it. So for one, it's Willie Lynch syndrome. That's number one. Okay. Number one, Willie Lynch syndrome. Willie Lynch syndrome is real briefly. It's a set of protocols that supposedly a man named Willie Lynch came up with to help stop all the physical revolts that were going on during the slavery days. He came to, I don't know, Lynchburg, Virginia or whatever. People say he's not real. But the thing about him is, I don't care if he's real or not. Willie Lynch syndrome is real. So the concept is on the plantations to divide us further and to make us better slaves. A set of psychological things was put down inside of us. First of all, take the biggest, blackest dude. The most buck dude on the plantation. In Roots, it was Kunta Kinte, right? The most brolic African man on the plantation. Whip him in front of everybody until he's screaming, crying for his life. And that sends that message to the rest of the slaves. I better not be no Malcolm X out here because I'm going to get ripped apart limb from limb. You know what I mean? Sometimes raping them in front of the other slaves. Sometimes pulling them apart with horses. And what this did was it sent this message through us. and through the generations saying, hey, any of you who dare to buck against me, I will stop at no expense to kill you in a way that will haunt you for the rest of your days. And so it put a lot of pause in the steps of the would-be revolutionaries right there. But what it also did, because what they did to keep us wanting to be slaves and to keep us from ever wanting to come together again and revolt again, they started separating us. Separate them by color. Pick the lighter ones and give them more privileges, right? I would have been a house nigga during slavery, right? Rape Sally, put her children in the big house with me, and then tell the black one, tell her, if you don't want to go out here with these dark slaves and work in the field, you better do what I ask you to do. So in Sally's mind, even though she knows the darker slaves aren't bad, her mother might even be a darker slave. She's like, I don't want to go out there and possibly be lynched or be strapped to a tree or baby cut out of me and all of that stuff. So Willie Lynch syndrome over time, telling this person, okay, if you tell on this black man over here, I'll give you this. Or you're better than him because your plantation is a bigger plantation. Your slavery is better than his slavery. You're lighter, so you're better. Your hair is wavier, so you're better. And what this does over time is it creates this thing in us that is genetic and spiritual that we pass down to our children over and over and over, because the sins of the father visit the child, Bible heads, okay? The sins of the father visit the son. So if you don't correct something in your life that you were dealing with, your children and grandchildren are going to have to deal with it. And that's what's happening with Willie Lynch syndrome, all right? So that's one reason already why black kids are picking that black doll as the bad doll, all right? Because they really firmly believe that the lighter you are, life is better for you. And by all intents and purposes, it is, because society made it that way. So they don't have any reason to see it as being a false narrative. It's real to them. All right. Number 2 reason why I think black kids are picking the thing. It's just black PTSD. Some of us have bad black experiences, right? Sometimes I hear my husband's mother. She's older. She's almost 80. And so she talks a lot about how it used to be, you know, and they come from a time where it was really hard for black people. And sometimes that hardness that got into our hearts, we would take it out on our children. So you have a lot of us who will go home and work for that white man all day and be treated like shit, and then come home and beat the shit out of our kids. Right? So you have black PTSD that you're dealing with, that you're passing on to the child. Now the child is traumatized, and the source of their trauma is you with your black face. Does that make sense? All right. So let's see. The Moors say he's not real, but the letter still applies. Exactly. Yeah, the Moors, I've heard a few people say he's isn't real. And I'm not going to front, when you read the Willie Lynch letter, it does sound like, they say somebody wrote it in the 70s. It does seem like somebody wrote it to kind of, but it's, like I said, it's on point. Essentially, they did apply Willie Lynch tactics to black people to get us to be under control, to make us perpetual slaves, spiritual slaves. Okay? All right. So there's that. So there's black PTSD, Willie Lynch syndrome. They feel responsible, the children, by that I mean. The children are picking that black doll because they feel responsible for taking on the legacy of racism and prejudice. So let's say I'm a little white child and my parents are Trump supporters, and I know that they're kind of racist too. They're racist Trump supporters, right? Not saying that all Trump supporters are racist. Wink, wink. But in this example, these are some racist Trump supporters, right? And let's say they have a white child, okay? That child let's say they made that child a part of one of these experiments. Little white child, which doll is the ugly one and which doll is the cute one? That little white child that knows their parents would die if they picked that black doll, that little white child is going to pick that white doll, even if they don't think that white doll is the prettiest doll. They know that their parents are like, you better not pick that black doll as the pretty doll. So the legacy of racism is something that we give to our children, and we expect them to adhere to it. All right? And that's the reason why some of them run out and get the opposite race as soon as they can, because they don't want the legacy of racism, right? I don't know if any of you guys watch Attack on Titan. That's what happened in Attack on Titan. The very same thing happened in Attack on Titan, you know? That father was like, you know, I know our enemy, our racist enemy, just killed your sister with dogs, sick dogs on your sister, and killed them. But I need you to just be quiet and stay in your place, because this is your lot in life, right? So a lot of us feel the same way. Like, let me just do what everybody else did in front of me, right? I don't want to rock the boat, right? Another reason why the children are picking the black doll is because they're honest and they're not PC like that. They're not politically correct like that. They're picking the black doll because in their minds, it's like, oh, which is the evil doll? The black doll. Isn't that right, society? Isn't that the answer? They don't have a racist reason why they said that. They just think that's the right answer because that's what they're getting from what they're seeing in life, right? Another reason why they're picking the black doll is because children will say anything. Some children will say what they think adults will want to hear. I talked about this earlier. So you could see that in some of the children in the doll test. The adult, you ever met a child like that? They're not that competent. There's adults like this. You'll say, hey, what's your favorite color? Oh, it's purple. Purple, that's a crappy color. Why would you like purple? And then they'll go, oh, well, maybe red then. And it's just like, why are you changing your favorite color? Because I dissed it, right? So some children are that way. So you could see some of them fishing for what they want. What does this adult want me to say, right? Some of them just pick the black doll for literally that reason. Interrupted cultural history and legacy leaves a blank space for blacks that white people don't have. This is very important. So you're a child, right? You get born, you go to school and you start learning about being black, right? Because most of the time your parents ain't teaching it to you. You learn it from school. So you already know how school teaches it, right? You're in there and then you hit a point in history and you're just a slave for 400 years, right? And all of your history is centered around slavery at that point, right? So that's the problem. Whereas white people don't have that. When they think about their history, it's a steady history of them improving themselves, coming out of caveman living all the way till now. So they can feel proud about that. Not only that, they're the ones telling the story. It makes them look good, usually, right? The stories, the narratives that we have about us as black people make us feel like we don't want to be black because we keep starting our history from slavery like we just landed on earth during slavery in America. Like we're not the most ancient people on the planet. All right. Another reason why the kids are picking the black doll, in my opinion, is the negative connotation of the word black and dark. Who likes to be called dark or black? In a society that completely destroys the word black and dark, who wants to be called black and dark? These children aren't stupid. They can see how you paint the word black when you're using it, how you paint the word dark. Oh, this is dark. Oh, it's dark. Oh, the clouds are out. It's a dark and gloomy day. Oh my God. Like it's just the worst thing. Darkness is just this horrible thing. We're adults, but we're scared of the damn dark. Okay. But the children, Halloween and that kind of shit too, teaches you not to like being black. But I have a whole nother video about that. All right. But everything we put in front of the children's faces is some kind of shit like that. Right. That doesn't make us feel good about being who we are. So what do we expect them to say when you ask them which doll is pretty and which doll is ugly? Right. All right. So there's that. Racist, historical revisionists have rewritten history to make blacks historically bad and dumb. So there's that. Not only do we have a blank space in our history, the stuff that is filled in makes us look stupid and bad. Because according to everybody else, Greeks made up all the shit that we enjoy in life, not black people. You know things like the Pythagorean theorem and language and math. These are white things in the minds of most people. Even though if you go to Wikipedia, it will clearly tell you that Nubia and Egypt and stuff is the place where language was seeded and where math comes from. Again, the letters that we write, the numbers we write are from the Arabic numeral system. We actually, the number 1 through 9, those are Arabic numerals that we're using in English. But in my mind, I never knew that, right? I didn't know it had anything to do with no Arabic, right? Because in my mind, white people made up everything until I learned that wasn't true, right? So the children think this. They think we're dumb and bad because we get all the notoriety for being stupid and buffooning ourselves. You know, when Snoop Dogg said all that shit about Gayle, the children know about that, but they don't get to see Snoop doing something good as much. Even if he's doing something good, the media is not going to show him doing that. They're going to show him it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none Snoop. Okay. All right. So what I noticed about these tests, some children seem to be proud of their answers. Like, oh, hey, adults, hear me? I'm regurgitating the racism. Some seemed ashamed of their answers. Some seemed to associate the dolls with a particular person that they didn't like. And you could tell by their answers. Why is this doll bad? She said, because the doll is always picking on me and da-da-da. Yeah, I'm like, okay, she's associating that doll with a particular little girl, right? Some seemed to treat the test like a chess match. Like they were trying to use wit to answer it. Like, you can't play me, adult. You're not going to trick me with these tests, right? Some seem to not really know how to answer because they're the type of child, like I said a minute ago, who's not confident with answering for themselves. And then the older children were more PC, and some were even smug about being I'm not picking any doll because all people are created equal. And it's just like, well, Yeah, but that's also inhuman to not have any biases either, right? To not see any bias is not the way to help these children through this, because it's unrealistic to teach children and grown-ups and humans not to have biases when that's just the nature of how humans learn. It's through a series of biases and prejudices. Hey, I had a bad experience with pancakes. I don't want pancakes anymore. I had a great experience with waffles. I want more waffles. Take that out and put people in there. That's how people think. Like, okay, I every time I go and hang with the blacks, they treat me good. I like the blacks. Other people might be like, every time I encountered blacks, they was cussing, their pants was hanging down, and they were treating elders disrespectfully. I don't like the blacks, right? So bias is natural. But we got to get a rein on this, because all the biases are against black people. That's my problem. I wouldn't mind humans having natural biases. Right? If you're a woman, 9 times out of 10, you're more biased toward being a woman than towards woman being a woman. If you're a man, 9 times out of 10, it's the same way. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I am saying it's natural. But if it was normal, then the biases would be even. But all the biases that the world has are aimed at niggas. And I'm tired of it, right? Especially since we're the ones that everyone's emulating and copying. That's what makes it whack. So what can we do to fix this? And now I'm nearing the end of my video, okay? It's spiel time before I give away the goods on what I think we could do to fix this. I'm Black Girl Gamer, aka Novakane Omega. Catch us on Each Nine Teach Nine, as well as the Culture Chronicles, teaching this kind of information. I do game. I do like to have fun. I like to laugh, but I like to drop a jewel. All right. So that's, if you're going to follow me anywhere, at least follow me on one of these 2 platforms where we can actually learn together. Okay. I'd much rather learn with you and teach with you and talk with you than game with you and have fun. Right. We can have fun later. Soul Trust Records is our thing. If you want to donate any money, if you feel what we're doing, it takes us time to do this. It takes effort. I studied to do this 2 hours before I presented it to you guys. So if you want to donate for our efforts, you can do that at $ Soul Trust Records. But you don't have to. It's good to just have you here. Okay. So the doll test. So what can we do to fix this? That's the question going forward. Okay. First of all, we can educate ourselves and our babies about Black history, duh, and not just the bad stuff and not just the American stuff. If you start your history with slavery, everything else will look like progress. And I forgot who said that. I wish Fats was here because he could tell me. If you start your history with slavery, everything else will look like progress. Let me say that again. That's one of our problems. When we do try to educate our people about being Black, it's all of the lynchings and the murders and the segregation and the Jim Crow and all of the prejudice and the bullshit. Can we teach them about the mathematics, and can we teach them in a way that doesn't seem like we're trying to make up for something? Like, let's just teach it to them like it's normal, so they'll never question the normalcy of learning about being Black. My children don't question it. They just have always learned about being Black. So they never stop to say, oh wow, like Black Panther didn't impress my children that much. Because they didn't know that there were no Black superheroes usually. Because I raised them watching Kirikou. Y'all ever seen Kirikou? That's something to show them. That's a good thing to show them. That'll give them a lot of confidence about being Black. I raised them watching stuff with Black characters excelling. They watched us do a lot of cool stuff that makes us look good. But I'm jumping the gun. But educate the babies about being Black. All the babies. Educate them. If you a Hindu, you an Indian, educate your children about India. Not from a white a supremacist perspective either. And not from a, hey, I know we struggled a lot perspective either. Like, what about all the things we did that were good? What about all this stuff? And not, hey, this was the first Black man to do this. There's nothing wrong with that. But damn, do we always got to teach them that kind of history? Like, we're the first Black people to do. A lot of times we're not the first Black men to do, or Black woman to do a thing. It's just that we're the first Black woman or man to do the shit in racist ass America and get acknowledged for it. Right? But why are everybody amazed when we do something amazing? It shouldn't be amazing. Black people have been amazing, and everyone who is in the know knows that. Right? So teach the children that way. Like, yeah, I know that what James Brown did is amazing because Black people are amazing. And your child should be like, yeah, you're right. Black people are amazing, and that is why he was amazing. Right? Not, wow, look at this one Black man who is an exception to the rule of amazingness. Right? Okay. The same way. So step 2 would be to educate others in the same way. I think if we educate others in the same way about who we are, they'll just accept it more. They'll accept it more and not be apologetic about it. Right? Be honest with children about the nature of people in the world and that people are diverse. So I told my children, like, let me give you an example. This is not about race, but this is how I teach them about race. It's just I'm going to use another kind of example. My child will say to me, not that I have all the answers, by the way. My child will say to me, hey, what happens when we die, right? And instead of telling them some religious ass answer, I'm like, well, no one knows what happens when we die. And some people believe this, some people believe that, and some people believe this. But we all do have to die, so don't fear it. Embrace it. I know it's hard, and I know you're scared of the unknown, but since it's something that we all have to do, it's no need to think about it. It's not like, hey, if I figure this out, maybe I don't have to die. Like, you do. We all have to die, right? So that's the same way I am about race. I'm like, well, some people think black people are like this, you guys. Some people think white people are like this. Some people think this, and let them determine through their walk when they meet white people, when they meet other black people, when they meet other whatever it is, how they feel about it, right? So that's how I teach them about gays, race, whatever it is. I'm not telling you how to feel about anything because I don't want to teach them a PC way of looking at shit either. PC is cute, but it ain't real. PC is like politically correct. When you see somebody, it reminds me of when you see somebody in the street, you go, hey, how you doing? But you don't really stop to hear the answer because you don't care how they doing. It's just something you say, right? So it's just saying all people are created equal, and I think everyone has the same thing. Most people don't feel that way. They're lying. So I don't want my children to say that and that's just how they feel because that's how they're supposed to feel. I want them to genuinely have an understanding of what it is to be a human, existing with other humans on the planet and knowing that it's not all about them. Right? So be honest with them about the nature of people and diversity and stuff in the world. I think another thing we could do with the children is be a living example of excellence in our race. All our children have ever seen us do is build up things to make them better. That's all they've ever seen us do. They've seen us fight. They've seen us fuss and fight and forgive each other, like as a couple. They've seen me and my mother argue before and forgive each other. They've seen me I built this booth over here that we record in. You know what I'm saying? He just came in here the other day. I noticed you haven't used the booth in a while because now I have a chaotic eyeball, so I just record in the room. But I used to use the booth. I noticed you haven't used it in a while. Where's daddy? Oh, he's in the studio. Why is he in the studio? Because we made a studio. The boys live in a house where there's a studio. Everybody can't say that, right? Am I saying that you're whack if you don't have a studio? No, I'm saying we're trying to be living examples of excellence right now in their faces that they can see in real time. So if somebody tries to come and tell my children, the black man ain't shit. He ain't never did nothing for his family and da-da-da. They can't vouch for that. Because their black man that they got, I had a friend that tried to say that about, I was dissing The Color Purple for being such a male bash movie. I was saying that it's a great movie and it's actually one of my favorite movies if you remove knowledge of self, right? It's a good movie. It's well done. The score is excellent. The videography, the cinematography, all that's cute. But there's no black man in that movie that's good except Lawrence Fishburne's character. That's it. And he has a very small role in the movie. Everybody else is a child molesting, woman beaten, crazy man in that movie, right? Is that how some people are? Hell yeah. But does that movie paint every man like they're all like that? Yes, it does, right? And then when I said that, my friend, who's a dude, had the nerve to say to me, but black men ain't shit. He's a black dude who said this. He said, but black men ain't shit a lot of times and blah, 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 blah. I said, well, maybe that's how that is for you. He told me that I'm an exception and that I lucked out by having me a good man. But that most people don't have that same experience. Now, I'm like, for one, like I'm new to earth. People treat me like I'm new to earth because I have a good relationship, a good long-standing relationship. Like I don't know anything about the struggle of relationships and shit. So I said to him, I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Maybe that's because you ain't shit. Because I can rattle off good black men. I can rattle them off. I also can name a lot of sisters that ain't hitting on shit either. So it ain't all about a black man being bad and everybody else is good, right? But that's my point. I've seen too many examples of good black men for anybody, starting with my father, for anybody to curve their mouth to me. You can say that to someone else, but you can't say that shit to me. Black men are amazing, and I've seen enough, right? And a lot of black men who don't come out amazing. You came in late. How can you see that video? Which video? Clarify for me, and I'll let you know which video you're talking about. What video do you mean? And I'll let you know. I'm in Raw if you're still there. But do you see what I'm saying? So be an example of excellence for the babies, and you don't have to talk to your blue in the face about how good black people are. Black people, we used to do this. You just do it and your child will see you doing it and you don't have to tell them about it. They'll just see you doing it. All right, cool. Teach them self-love. Give the babies compliments. Tell the baby he's handsome. Tell that sister she's beautiful. Encourage them. Not just that their skin is beautiful. Oh, your skin is beautiful. That's dope. But sometimes children feel like, well, you're my mother. You're supposed to say that. But compliment their minds, their achievements, their abilities, the things that they bring to the table. Not just how they look. And they'll just have a higher sense of self-esteem about being whatever color they are, right? That's simple. Teach them that they are, this is important. Teach the children that they are a part of a community and how their individual actions may affect a group that they're a part of. A lot of us have that Willie Lynch syndrome where we feel like we are radical individualists. We have become a race of radical individualists, meaning we're obsessed with me and I and what I want, and I don't agree and I do agree, and blah, 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 blah. And that's that European divide and conquer technique that started white supremacy in the first place, right? And it makes it so powerful. So all our strength is in our unity. So if you can teach children, hey, you're a part of a community. You're a part of a village. Again, my children have only seen themselves as a part of a village, not just me telling them that. I don't have to tell them that because they just know it. You know what I mean? They know the music that my friends make. They'll come in and I'll be like, this is the guy that made this song. And they're like, wow, really? Wow. They feel like they're a part of a village, a tight-knit village too. You know what I mean? And that they've seen many black men and women examples where they've been growing up. And they know that a lot of people would be disappointed in them if they were to fail. Versus one reason why, like a lot of back in the day, and why in a lot of African countries, Asian countries and stuff like that, how you carry yourself in front of other people, the honor of your last name is important. We don't really feel like that a lot of times as American blacks. We don't care because our last name is not our last name. It's a name we've been given. It's a name that doesn't mean anything to us. You know what I mean? So there's that. Our children have lost that. We're naming them European names. Your name, back in Africa, your name is a sentence. If you have a naming ceremony and your name is a sentence that's supposed to remind you of why you came to Earth. That's what your name is supposed to do in African cultures. You have a whole naming ceremony and you ask the gods to help name that baby and the community to help name that baby. And then you might even have to run do some readings on the name to make sure the name is good. And that name is supposed to remind that child why they came to Earth. So if we were practicing our actual culture and not trying to practice such a European form of culture, we would be a lot better off too. The babies wouldn't pick that black doll baby so quick to be that ugly doll baby. All right. Teach the children about Willie Lynch, the doll test, Brown versus education. Show them these kind of videos like the one I'm making now so that they know they aren't alone. That if you have a dark-skinned child that feels bad about being dark, show them the video about that. Show them a video of dark-skinned people talking about being dark and how they've learned that that's not what it is anymore. Sometimes knowing you're not alone is all you need to see, right? Oh, it's like, oh, I'm not the only one that feels ugly because I'm dark. This is a worldwide problem. So maybe now I don't have to feel so bad about myself because I know we're all going through it, right? Show them that. Make them aware of what's going on in the world. And because they're already going through it. So you might as well not try to shield them from it, right? Show them all the thieves in white supremacy. What do I mean by that? Earlier, that little girl was talking about she brought her food to school and it was Venezuelan food. And then the other children, probably white children, but maybe even black children too, were like, ew, your food looks nasty. You're dirty. What is this? What is this foreign food you're eating? Meh, meh, meh. And she felt ugly and she cried and she felt bad, right? About being who she was, about her culture. Meanwhile, there are white supremacists who can't wait to go down to Venezuela to have some damn tacos and shit. You feel what I'm saying? They can't wait for that recipe, Chipotle, you know what I'm saying? They can't wait. They can't wait for this kind of stuff. The doll test video. Oh, those are easy. Literally, just go to YouTube and type the doll test. There's going to be, because there's so many, so I can't necessarily tell you exactly where to go to find. Hold on, let me see if I can't put I'm going to put the links in the comments, and you should be able to click on each link and just go right to the videos. I'm smart. That was a good idea. Okay, let me see. Here we go. I'm about to put all the links in there. Boom. All right. Let's click the Black Girl Gamer. Novakane Omega. Bear with me, you guys. I just want to make sure I do my due diligence for this person. Come on, yo. I don't want that. Okay, here you go. These should work. Hopefully they'll work. Are they active links? I don't think these links are active. Anyway, I tried. All right. But go to YouTube and type the doll test. That's literally what I did. And it's going to pull up MSNBC because there's been like 4 or 5 different doll tests done. So there's no one video to show you. There's been a bunch of them. All right. Excuse me. Okay. So back to what I was saying. So let me see. Show them how, James Brown, how the Rolling Stones go and steal the music, and how Elvis stole all those songs, and how, how a lot of the food and stuff that you enjoy is not, none of this, a lot of this stuff didn't come from Europe, y'all. It came from Africa. It came from Jamaica. It came from China, Asia, Hong Kong, Beijing, whatever. Brown and black people are providing all the things that are making rich people rich, that are making rich people feel like, oh, let's go have Thai food tonight, right? So show your children that. Don't let them just think that their stuff is giveaway shit. Meanwhile, it's the most valuable thing anyone has ever seen. That's our problem. We don't know our value. We don't know our worth. So a lot of times we can't wait to get away from blackness. But as soon as we get away from it, it's just like if you're living in a house, the house of blackness, right? And then a salesman comes and says, hey, the house of blackness is a house of ill repute. I don't know. This house is dilapidated, has termites in the thing. I don't know if you really want this house. And they talk so convincing that you go, you know what? I don't want to be in the house of blackness anymore. Let me move, right? Then you move over to the house of whiteness or the house of something other than being black, right? And that same person who convinced you to leave your house, they go in the house. And they start living in it. And then they put your clothes on and then go out in the world and create havoc. And then you see them with your clothes on and go, who is that doing that havoc in the world with them African clothes on? I don't like that person. I'm so glad I left that black house. I'm so glad I left the house of blackness. Thank you. Thank you, Europe, for saving me from being black, right? Meanwhile, they are in your black clothes like, you talking about some yes, hunty, right? And you're like, what? Right. So, but they're rich. When they do it, they get rich from doing it. Right? Iggy Azalea got on your black shit. And she's a millionaire from doing that. You ratchet when you do it. So show them that. Show them, hey, don't let these people fool you into thinking they don't like you. They love you. They're doing this because they love you. They want to be you so bad, they're willing to kill you over it, right? Like, basically, if I can't have blackness, nobody can. That's how some of them feel, right? Show your babies that. There are a lot of them, and if you feel like they're not old enough to understand these concepts, then stop letting them play GTA, Modern Warfare, and all the other stuff you're letting them play, right? Especially Grand Theft Auto, that has a lot of bullshit undertones in it. Your child is playing that, aren't they? Then they're ready. That you letting your child watch Power and The Wire and all this other stuff. Talk to them. Make sure that they don't let someone else shape how they feel about themselves. All right. 2 more things they can do, I think, children, and that we can do to make this doll test never have the same results again. Right. Be honest about your own prejudices and biases, and let them know that it's wrong, but that it is natural to be biased, but that you are working to correct your wrong biases, right? Your unfounded biases. So, okay, like for instance, you might have a child and you may feel like, well, I don't really get down with a man wearing dresses and all that stuff, right? You might feel like that, right? Which that's understandable, right? That's not a bad way to feel. Like that's, some people might be like, that's so, but I'm like, come on, you can't understand why a brother would feel a little uncomfortable about that, especially with white supremacy out here trying to make little boys and stuff get up in dresses. Okay. But you might want to also teach your children, but that's how I feel. You know what I mean? There are people in the world who don't agree with me, and that doesn't mean they're wrong. It's just that we have 2 different opinions. You feel what I mean? And I don't know if that was a good example, but that's all I'm saying. Like you kind of want to make sure that you don't make your child feel like you're perfect, right? because their first example of how to be grown-ups is you. So even if you're a little bit racist or whatever, they're going to pick up on it, right? But if you've reached a point in your mind where you know that it's wrong to be that way, then make sure that they know, hey, look, I'm not always right, child. I'm actively working on myself, okay? Or let's say you taught your child something racist about another group. Go back. If you realize the error of your ways, go back and apologize while your child is still young and formative. Now, be like, I'm not going to front, I taught you that Mexicans are some bean-eating motherfuckers. But I shouldn't have taught you that. I was wrong. That shit was racist. And you don't want nobody to treat you like that about your own Celtic culture or da-da-da-da. Nah, yeah, right. Like, so, because I'm not with it either. But I'm not going to teach my child, PJ Wade, I'm not going to teach my child to be out here getting all worked up over something that someone else is out here doing. And that's my point. A lot of us, because that's what happened to us. I'm going to tell my child that we're going to do us, but we're going to let other people do them. And that'll relieve a lot of the tension, because a lot of racist kids, a lot of prejudice ass kids and grown-ups, they have this erroneous way of thinking that it's their job to tell another motherfucker how to live their life. It ain't my job to tell you not to do a certain thing. We're not really living in the old village like we used to be. You know what I mean? We got to kind of work to get back there. Right now, we're individuals. People don't see the need to support. I remember one time I had said, hey, you guys, Nas got a new album out. You know what I mean? How about instead of just listening to the shit, how about we download it? How about we support it? What's up, Kai? I haven't seen you in a while. How about we support it? Right? Here come a young person. I ain't buying his album. I'm streaming it. This, that, and the third. Just go around and round about why you can't spend $10 and support Nas's album. Because in black people's minds, we are a bunch of individuals. So we don't see the reason. And because of these phones, everybody thinks their opinion is the one. Because your phone makes you feel like you're right. And that's another topic. But you may not know it. Your phone is brainwashing you into thinking everything you think is right. How is it doing that? It's showing you, it's basing what it shows you on the algorithm of how you perform and behave every single day. This person likes videos about Karen. Let me show her more Karen videos. This person likes Trump. Let me show them more pro-Trump videos. This person likes pasta. Let me show them more pasta videos. But in your mind, the world is seeing pasta in their feed. And it's like, no, they aren't. Only you are seeing that because the robot, that's what you like. So let me show you what you like. So if you think that wearing dresses is good, the feed is going to show you more images of men wearing dresses and it being okay with them. If you think it's bad, the feed is going to show you more images of it being bad. Because the computer the phone don't give a damn how you feel. It just wants you to stay on Instagram longer. So this is the reason why you have so many people, these Republicans and stuff, walking around here feeling like everything they say is so backed. It's funny you said that black people celebrating and don't even know their history. Ain't that something? Don't even know our history. That's simple what he just said. Let me put that on the... Yo, it's funny you said that black people celebrating and don't even know their history. Right. In honor of Black History Month, it's like, well, talk to me. What about Black History Month? And then most of what we're going to say is going to be post-slavery. It's going to be a slavery narrative of what black people did since slavery. Right? Ancient people from hundreds of thousands of years ago. But all we can talk about is what happened to us since we became slaves in America. But anyway, back to what we can teach the babies. Teach the babies that you have your own prejudice and biases. And they may be right and they may be wrong. But don't walk around Hitlering people with your prejudice and biases. Because a lot of us, especially in the conscious community, we like to do that. You married a white woman? It's like, well, damn. That person don't have to uphold your ideals. And I'm not saying your opinion on that is wrong or right. My point is it's your opinion. And so instead of I'm not going to treat my children like they can't coexist. For one, I don't want nobody doing something that can move me like that. This nigga wearing a dress and I don't agree. So I'm going to let it make me sweat though. I'm going to sit up here and sweat about it instead of just moving on with my, who said this? Queen Afua's son, Supernova Slum. He said this. He said, for those of you guys who have a problem with these feminine dudes in dresses, how about you be the masculine dude? How about you be the alpha? Since you have a problem with that type of energy, how about you balance it out by you being an alpha male and bringing your energy to the table? You know what I mean? If you don't believe in wearing dresses, then nigga just don't wear a dress. But are we going to go and hunt these people down because they don't agree with us? That's when you start getting into that white people shit. And I'm not doing that with my people. I'm going to, all bets are off. We see, when I was growing up, we all pretty much came up in church. So we all had the same morals, kind of. Now everybody has their own different ideas about what's right and wrong. So to be at peace with myself every day, I can't let what somebody else said about race or what someone else said about culture or whatever it is affect me to the point where I'm going to get so upset, and then I'm going to sit here and teach my children to walk around being triggered by everything that everybody does. You know, black people. I remember one time I posted a post of that little girl marching, no justice, no peace, right? And I really posted it as a joke. And I was like, when you 5 years old and you're already fed up with the bullshit. And then here come my different friends. When has protesting ever done anything for black people? And blah, blah, blah. My post didn't have nothing to do with what protesting had or had not done for black people. But that person was triggered by my post, which was an innocent, simple post. And in my mind, I'm like, damn. And some of my friends was coming underneath and they were like, yo, what's up with the people in your feed? Like, why are they so, you know what I mean? Like, why are they so triggered by this? I'm like, I don't know, right? That's my point. We got to get away from all of that. We're becoming these hermits, like people who don't know, like people who don't get that the world is made up of a bunch of different kinds of motherfuckers. We're adults and we don't get that yet. Dude, if you like pussy, not trying to be crass, if you like vagina and you like girls with long hair and you like girls that make spaghetti, there's another nigga that likes ass. He likes girls with short hair and he like girls that make Chinese food. Do you feel what I'm saying? What does that, how does that affect you? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's that person's business. The fact that you exist means there's an opposite of you somewhere. There's an opposite person with an opposite view, and they have to exist just like you have to exist. So we're going to teach them the principles, the true principles. That's called the principle of rhythm, by the way. That's an ancient Egyptian principle called the principle of rhythm. Meaning, if there's a circle, there got to be a square. If there's a zero, there's got to be a line, right? If there's an up, there's got to be a down. If there's a black person, there's got to be a white person. You know, if there's a straight person, there's got to be a gay person. You can't be straight. Like, there would be no reason to call yourself straight if there wasn't something else that people could choose. Does that make sense? Like, if there was no bad, how would you know what good was? If there was no rain, how would you understand or appreciate sun? So we need to teach the children to accept things that they don't agree with, even. Instead of having them, we're teaching them to be a bunch of new little black races. I'm not saying we got to sing kumbaya with white folk. That's another thing. Let me say that. I got to say that. We also need to teach the children not to try to sing kumbaya to get along. We got a lot of shit we got to work through as people and as a country. So we're not going to sing kumbaya no time soon. So a lot of us are trying to jump all over the work we got to do and teach the children to be some kumbaya as children. If you don't agree with a dude doing a thing, a girl doing a thing, a black person doing a thing, a white person doing a thing, if you feel like it's detrimental to our race, by all means, speak up. Just don't become Hitler, where you start carrying it like your opinion, which is subject to change. Have you ever thought a thing at age 25 that no one could tell you that that thing was right or wrong, and now you have a whole another opinion now that you're 35? Yeah. So that means you're not always right, fam. There's certain things that I just knew I was right about when I first got knowledge of self. And as I got older and I got more perspective on it, I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not trying to encourage nobody to sing kumbaya. I'm not trying to teach you to teach your children to do that. But you do need to teach them to be calm, because we're walking around saying that we're gods and we're not calm enough to be gods. All somebody has to do is say anything and we'll be triggered by it. Black Lives Matter. Did you know Black Lives Matter is George Soros and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, now that you said that, I'm glad that I know that. Your ass is going to still turn around at night and watch Netflix and kick your feet up and smoke a blunt, fam. You're not going to do nothing with that. Okay, now we know that George Soros was started Black Lives Matter, not some black person. It's really a white movement. It's really the revolution being funded and controlled. Just like the same old story, right? But does that mean black lives don't matter, though? Black lives still matter. They still matter. right? So it's just one of those things where I'm not going to roast you because you're not at my level of understanding. And a lot of times that's what we want to do with the babies, okay? And we can't do this shit with the babies. All this dumb, stupid, conscious arguing that we've been doing, because I'm upset with us as the conscious community. We should be better along than this. We should be farther along than this. That damn doll test was 2010. They did one in 2018, fam. Same results from the 40s was on that test. Them black kids are still picking that goddamn black doll as that bad doll. Still, right? And segregation. So we see that ending segregation was not the answer, because it isn't the answer. Nothing can answer it if us as black parents refuse to sit down with these babies and instill in them that feeling of importance, right? As a human being without race, you still have to go through that period where you're trying to find yourself as a child. Why should we complicate it so much with all this other rhetoric and bullshit that we putting on the kids? They trying to figure out who they are, fam. They trying to figure out whether they belong or not. And then here we come. You know, the Mexicans eat tacos because they are dirty Mexicans. And then that child is like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel, but I know I better not tell my mama that I like Mexicans. I better not tell my mama I'm about to marry this Mexican girl, because she's liable to kick me out on my ass, right? We're making them feel bad because they want to get along. They're tired of fussing and fighting about this shit. But we just need to teach them that there's a way to get through this. It's not enough to just say, black skin is beautiful. You got to make them kids know that it's beautiful. You got to put this shit in perspective for them so they can go, oh, this is why I feel bad because I'm black. It's not because, I remember when I first heard Malcolm X say that about being black, about, you know, blackballed, blacklisted, black blah, blah, blah. That's the first time I had heard anybody say that. And I was like, yeah, that is how it is. Wow, I never thought about that. And it made everything better for me when I was trying to figure out, it made me not feel inferior anymore. Like, oh, okay, I'm being tricked into feeling like I'm bad. I'm being tricked into feeling like I'm bad because I'm black. Not I'm actually a bad person because I'm black. My enemy is tricking me. Right? Show your babies that. But not to a place where they end up harboring so much damn hatred that they don't know how to. Hey, what's up, Taylor? Thanks for showing me the love. Everything needs a balance. Everything needs a balance. It's kind of like showing your children slave movies. This is a good example, Novakane. I like this one. Hear me out. When your child is young and you start realizing, okay, especially a little black boy, all right, I got to prepare my child, my innocent, sweet child, for the fact that the police, a lot of them, inherently don't like you. And they, not only can they kill you, but they probably will get away with it. I have to prepare my son for that bullshit, right? So it's the same way with showing them slave movies. Excuse me. On one end, you don't want them to think that this new white man is the way white people always were. They weren't. We had to make a lot of them not be racist towards us. We had to fight them tooth and nail just to let us do anything, right? So so there's a part of you don't want them to see. You want them to see the slavery movie so they can go, oh, this is why. Whatever, right? This is why white supremacy. Oh, the KKK. Oh, they used to lynch us. Oh, okay. You want them to see it, but then there's that other part of you that doesn't want them to see it because you're not trying to put that image of the black slave in their mind. When we were young, they loved showing, because I used to be like, why would white people show us these movies every year? It makes them look bad. What I didn't realize was it was reinforcing the inferiority complex in my mind. Watching Roots, watching whatever, right? Most of those movies reinforce, not only are they showing you the history of slavery, but it's making it sometimes look worse than it even was, just so you'll feel scared of the white man. Like, remember this? Because see, the white man used to do that stuff in the open when it was legal to do it. So he could keep you under his foot by just lynching somebody that we all know. Let's lynch Emmett Till. Let's drag him behind a whip and beat him and all of that stuff, right? And they were proud of that because it reinforced, that's right. And if you ever step out of line, niggers, blah, blah, blah. But now that they're interested in being politically correct, they've gone into hiding a lot of the racists. And they only come out to do stuff like raid the Capitol or something like that, right? So you don't want your children to have a false sense of what it is out here. So I don't want my children to think, because my children are being raised in a world, right, where most white people are like, hi everybody, hi kids, So they don't know. So here I am like, oh, man, got to go to work this 9 to 5, work for the white man. And they looking like, well, what's wrong with working for the white man, right? They don't get it, right? So I want them to know what's wrong, but I don't want to start them over again with this new sense of inferiority. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So there's a delicate balance with this stuff. Teach the babies what it is to be black. Teach them that being black is beautiful. Teach them whatever, but not to a point where you might as well be the KKK. Because some of us can be that way. And it makes us sound stupid. Racism for real, or just when you strip it away, it's stupid. It's a childish thing. Do you feel what I mean? And so you don't want your child to be, we want to raise them. We saying, hey, yo, what up, God? Peace to the gods. What's up, gods? But then we're so base and animalistic. So a lot of what will heal these babies, let me add this final thing. So I said, be honest about your prejudices and biases and let your child know that it's wrong to be biased and prejudiced, but it is natural. And because again, I'm looking sideways at white people sometimes when I done been through so much white supremacy. I think that's natural. Mixed kids because fuck racism. That's what's up, sis. That's what's up. Do your thing. And that's my point right there. I know a lot of conscious people who would judge this sister for having mixed kids and literally talk to her like she's some kind of whatever. And this sister has shown me more support than almost all of you so-called conscious people combined. And you, Kai, you've shown me lots of support too. They definitely need to learn about white supremacy, even though it's uncomfortable. You know what I mean? They do. So that's what I was saying earlier. We need to teach them about white supremacy. But we need to teach them in a way that's not going to make them so mad that they can't fix it. Anger can blind you from being able to actually, like, have you ever gotten so mad that you were shaking or you started crying or you just got debilitated? You know what I mean? You were debilitated by anger. I don't want them to be like that. I don't want to start them off like that. Let me be angry. Whereas it's like I see something and it triggers me. I don't want them to be triggered by anything. I want them to be strong. A real God is not moved by little things, certain things. You know what I mean? He called you a nigga. You supposed to beat his ass. Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to let that person pull that much energy out of you? You see what I mean? Or that person might need an ass whipping to show them. I'm not saying that I have a problem with the ass whipping. Whatever works is what I'm saying. Let's teach these babies to do shit that works. Because all this complaining we've been doing don't work. All of this marching, a lot of that ain't had no effect. Other than, I will say this. Like I said, I'm live. Is it important? No, he's not. I'm live though. Daddy went to Isaiah's house. He'll be back. I'm gonna call him when I get done. Okay? Are you all right? I think Daddy, we got food to eat, right? Okay. Yeah, you can tell him when he get back. Okay, well he'll be back though, baby. All right. So yeah, I'm not trying to do that to them. Some people, they don't get it. They don't get that, okay, you're mad that you have to go work the 9 to 5 and then you come and you don't have to work it. You just haven't figured out a way out of the 9 to 5 yet. So you have subjected yourself to wage slavery to support your family. That's fine. But then we'll come home and talk to these kids like they just worked a 9 to 5 too. All this work I'm doing to make sure you got this shit on your table and not a white man and then the child is like, yo, I'm a child. Can you just chill? Hey, thanks. Super amazing. Oh, it's you. I recognize your picture. Okay, you must have changed your name. I don't remember the name being this, but I recognize your picture. Hey, Nova, I'm tuned in. I appreciate you. Yeah, I did take a break. So, do you feel me? Do you feel what I'm saying? So these are just my opinions on what we can do to kind of fix the babies. Oh, come on, Kai. That's how you say it. I want them to play chess right. And stand their ground. Come on. That's exactly, she's saying it, because sometimes you have to say it in a way that won't, like, people think you're trying to say be soft on racism, be soft on oppression. I'm not saying be soft. I'm saying that if you have babies, you have got to make sure you don't contaminate them with your bullshit. And that's all I'm saying. That's literally all I'm saying. Recognize sometimes when you have your own personal shit that you don't want them. I want my children to formulate their own opinions. I don't want my child to marry a darker woman just because he knows that will make me happy. I want him to marry a dark woman because he fell in love with a dark woman, because he doesn't see anything wrong with being dark. And if he falls in love with a dark woman, fine. If he don't, that's fine too. You feel what I mean? It ain't about me. And a lot of times this is the problem. When I'm sitting here watching these lynchings and these white people standing around and having picnics, having whole festivals around the dead swinging body of a black person that they've killed. And they got their babies at this thing. And I'm like, you don't get that, okay, you don't see why somebody might call you a white devil or something after that. Right? You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to be those people. Hey, look at this. I'm mad at these people. So look at this person that I just skinned alive. Let's hang him here and like a trophy, and let's have the kids come out and we're going to all eat sandwiches and corn on the cob and take pictures around this hanging body right here. You know what I mean? That's deep. So it's one thing if you don't like white, if you white and you don't like black people, but you going to go that far? You going to show yourself killing a black man in front of your babies? That's deep to me. That's deep to me. So we need to let these children have their innocence for a little while and slowly bring them into the responsibility that we have unfortunately left for them to handle, because we're not handling it good enough. All we do is fucking argue with each other. And then the children see it, and it does one or two things. Either they just inherit that same argument from us, or they grow up and they're like, I don't want no parts of that movement. Them conscious people are crazy. Right? And everything. So that's all I'm saying. So my final tip to get these babies to love themselves, and I have about 9 minutes and I'll be wrapping it up, is to teach them the difference between nationality and race. There was a little girl in one of those videos that I showed earlier. She said, what did she say? I don't know. I'm just going to make some shit up. She said, I'm Irish, British, and she named 2 other nations. So she didn't identify herself with her race. She identified herself with her nationality. Now, I think we should identify with both race and nationality. Okay? Because your ethnicity is a part of your culture, right? So you might be a Chinese man who was, let's say, born in Australia, raised in completely Australian culture. You're still a Chinese man though. So I've met people like that. They want to dive over their ethnicity and just talk about nationality. And I'm like, well, don't do that either. Then you meet the other people who say, well, I'm not this nationality. I'm just this race. And don't do that either. You're both. If you were a Chinese man born in Jamaica, motherfucker, you a Chinese Jamaican. Like you're an Asian. So ethnically you're Asian. So that means you have an inherent culture that you have inherited. You can't look over it just because you was born in Jamaica. Just because I was born in Jamaica, man, I'm never going to eat Chinese food, man, even though my mom and my dad and my uncle and aunts and everybody them are Chinese them. You're not going to eat no Chinese food, even though you're Chinese, just because you're in Jamaica? Do you feel what I mean? So nationality is important too, though, right? Black people identify with being black too much. This is another reason why the doll test is happening, because it had nothing to do with nationality. It was all about us calling ourselves this dumbass color that we have decided to associate ourselves with. Not that I have a problem with the color black. I think black is amazing, but I'm talking about color of law and status and all the stuff that we all know about as Moors and stuff, right? So teaching the babies that not only are you're all that stuff. There's not, just because the white man ruined the word black, it doesn't mean anything, actually. It's still a viable, it's still a color. It's a color. It's a beautiful, it's the presence of all colors, right? It's dope. So it's nothing wrong with it. A lot of the nations we come from, the word means black anyway. Like Kush, that mean black. India, that mean black. Egypt mean burnt black. And I could go on and on and on. The land of the black this and the land of the black that, because that we're black, isn't that, so hey. But a lot of us identify with being black as if black is a nation. I come from Black Ethiopia, right? There's no nation called black anything, right? Like the actual nation called black. Where you flying home? You flying back home? You flying back home to be with your family in black? Like, I wish there was a place called black, but there isn't, right? So we're all saying that we're black instead of saying a nation. That's important too. So if we teach the children that they're associated with a nation, not just a race, they'll feel a lot better about themselves. They won't just identify themselves by color. You'll give them more identifiers, and then they'll feel better about themselves. All right? So that's my spiel about this stuff. You guys, if you want to hear more of what I'm doing and talk about more stuff like this with me, just stay tuned. I'm on most of the platforms. But if you want to follow me, I'm an MC. If you want to find some of my music, I'm actually called Novakane Omega. That's my MC name. If you want to watch me game as well as do these videos and watch movies, movie reviews, and all that kind of stuff, and you want to laugh, follow me at Black Girl Gamer, because I am funny. I do like to laugh, and I'm silly. I'll say I'm silly. You might not find me funny, but a lot of people do, and there's that side of me too. So you can follow me at Black Girl Gamer. And all of this culminates at Soul Trust Records. My teaching platform is Each 9 Teach 9. So many links. This has been the Doll Test, analyzing Black self-hatred. Later on tonight on Twitch, I will be showing School Days. I'm not going to talk over it or anything. I'm just going to show it raw. I don't think there's anything in it that I have to censor. No, I don't know. I don't think there's any like breast or anything in the movie. Yeah, I don't think so. So I'm going to be showing School Days, which further talks about how we feel about being light skinned versus dark skinned and stuff like that. Status, Willie Lynch syndrome and stuff like that. One of Spike Lee's earlier movies featuring Lawrence Fishburne and Dwayne Wayne and some other people. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty good. But yeah, y'all, that's just my spiel on it. So I try not to just talk about it, but how can we make it better? You know, you may have some different ideas about how we can make it better, but for sure we need to get at these babies now while they're young, while they're formulating stuff. We need to ask them how they feel instead of just telling them how to feel. We need to say, well, look, this is how I feel about do, but what's your opinion about it? We need to not roast them when they say their opinion, because children will grow up and they'll change and their opinions will change and stuff like that. But we need to educate them so that they will be armed and nothing will surprise them. But we need to also give them a lot of love and stuff like that, and not make it so they feel like they're in the military because they were born into a world that's racist as hell, and now they have to pick a side and take up arms against, you know, whoever. You're going to end up having the opposite effect on your child if you do that. I had a white friend who had really, 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 really racist parents, and all he ever wanted to do was date black girls and Mexicans because his parents were like that. I don't even think he would have been as into us had his parents not been that way. I think he would have been a lot more the way they wanted him to be. I think he would have just had a white girlfriend and been a normal like white dude or whatever. You're not normal, your average white dude, you know what I mean? But because they were like, hey, and they were like, we're not racist, but these Mexicans, no, you can't talk to them. We're not racist, but these so-and-sos, these niggers, no. And then they moved him away from California to get away from Mexicans and niggers, just for him to meet me and a bunch of other black people and start hanging with us. I met him in art school. You know what I'm saying? And I felt for him because he really wanted to just be regular, but he had all these hang-ups that he had to deal with that he inherited from his parents. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even know that he liked black people as much as he seemed to. I just think he was trying his hardest to be as opposite from them as possible. So my point is, black people, if you want your child to be pro-black, don't you stuff pro-black down their throats. Don't ram it down their throats, because you're going to make them hate it. It doesn't look appealing. If I'm a child, that doesn't look appealing to me. I don't want to join these adult wars. I just want to have fun. Especially if I met a white person that was cool with me and I didn't have any issues with, which you meet all people like that all the time. Everybody ain't walking around just racist and mean. Some people are just really cool and they don't deserve to be treated like that. You know what I mean? So if your child sees that you don't care about the character of a person's heart or whatever, you just care if they're black or white, and that's kind of all you care about. You know, you got some parents that are like, yeah, I would rather you marry, even if you pick out a shitty wife, at least she's black. Then you know what I mean? I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that about it. And to me personally, I'm not attracted to white people that like that. I've seen too much. It's hard for me to overlook my prejudices to a place where, and then I need the culture of the person I marry to really match my culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I always said, I don't even want to date a New York dude because I'm from Virginia. And a lot of times just the cultural differences, we could both be black, have locks and everything. And still just that New York culture is a little bit too different for me. So that's how I am. But everybody ain't like that. Some people can't wait to date outside of their race because they feel like it's boring to be on earth and just taste one flavor of ice cream. And that's just how they feel. It's not necessarily because they don't like being black or anything like that. And then some people really do try to date and keep it in their race, and it's just hard for them. Like they have a bad experience. I have a few different members in my family who have dated outside, who have wives or whatever outside their race and stuff like that. And I knew this dude when I was growing up, and he has features kind of that are like monkey. He's not ugly, but he has features that might remind you of a monkey, right? Of course, the whole time we were growing up, not white people now, black people were like, you African booty scratcher. You nigga face monkey, right? He's cute to be dark. That's what black people say. It's not like this is white people saying that. So I wasn't surprised when he grew up and married a white woman. I was not surprised because the black people treated him like shit when we were growing up. But we don't ever want to talk about that. We can be really cruel sometimes to people, especially since black people have a lot of swag. We're used to our people in our race having, and so when I grew up, swag was everything. See, y'all young people, y'all kind of corny to us. Cause y'all don't really know y'all don't really understand swag. You know what I mean? Y'all's idea of swag is corny to us. I'm not trying to dish you, but I'm just being honest. I'm 42. So like people that are in their like early 30s and stuff, sometimes y'all's idea of swag is just different than us. Y'all's idea of pro-black is different than ours too. You know, when we were young, black people didn't take mollies and didn't pop mollies and shit. That was white people drugs. So to us, y'all are like little white kids now, like, you know, walking around popping Adderalls and Mollies and shit. We're like, when did black people start popping pills and stuff? We usually just smoke weed and drink and might do a little coke or something, you know what I mean? But when did we start popping Addies and stuff, you know? So, but that's just a new generation. They just had their own perspective, you know, on what it is or whatever. But that's my point. When we were young, you better know how to do the WAP and the Cabbage Patch. You better not talk too proper. People will say, you talk white. They associated talking black with poor English, right? And no problem, because I don't like English. So fuck English. But I'm just saying that a lot of black people, I grew up and I was accepted by fellow blacks. But everybody was not, and I was a little weird, but drawing and art always made me, and my sense of self-confidence always kept me cool. But I had different times where being nerdy and being weird, sometimes somebody might try to joke me or something like that. But I was one of the people, how you feel about me just don't matter to me that much. You know what I mean? But everybody not like that. Some people grow up and another black person will say, you black as tar, you black ass tar baby. Right? It could be somebody as dark as us. Black nigga, when we cut the lights off, blah, 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 all the jokes. Your mom's is so black and the black, and ha, you black and you black, right? A lot of them kids is not going to grow up and marry no black people. Because that's who tormented them when they were growing up. Because they didn't know how to WAP. And they didn't know how to Cabbage Patch. And they liked things that might have been typically non-black. Or things that we felt like was too nerdy or whatever. Imagine you Bryant Gumbel. And some of y'all might not be too young to know who Bryant Gumbel is. But Bryant Gumbel, used to be a pundit on TV on his brother, the other Gumbel, he does the sports commentating. But Bryant Gumbel used to commentate. And Bryant Gumbel talks like this. And Bryant Gumbel is light-skinned, kind of. But Bryant Gumbel, I've seen him on other stuff. And there's Bryant Gumbel, I think is he pro-black? He put it like this. He's not a wannabe at all. He's not a wannabe white guy at all. But he talked that way, so black people roasted him. So if I'm him, I might want to go out and get me a white woman who thinks I'm awesome because I'm black. So that's not Novakane, but I can't say that I don't understand that. If somebody's roasting you constantly for all your black features and you look up and it's your own race, what does that do to you psychologically? Why would you want to still be pro-black after that? When being black has not benefited you in any way that you can see and your own people are not embracing you because you're too black. That's deep, ain't it? Then you got people like me who are pro-black, and then you have a lot of people in the black race who don't want to hear that shit. You got that too. Well, hey, black people, how about we come together and do this? Right? They'll look at it like you're discriminating because you're just trying to do something with just black people, or you're trying to do something for just black people. I don't discriminate, but they discriminate against other black people though. They don't discriminate against white people. That's what they mean. But I don't discriminate. And I'm like, well, yes, you do. Who doesn't discriminate? Everybody discriminates, right? You when you picking out your Chinese food, you're like, I don't want egg foo young. I want this, right? Discernment is a part of just being a human, right? Saying that that's not really for me, that you can have that, but I don't want that. But that's all. So now I'm just kind of chatting with you guys because I have you here and I see that I have some people I haven't seen in a while. Stephen A. was Brian Gumble. Before Stephen A. was Brian. Yeah, before Stephen A. And see, Stephen A. Smith really is a damn coon, though. He says things out of his mouth that are coony things to say. Brian Gumble did not he didn't say anything coony. He just spoke proper. And all the black people were like, Brian Gumble is such a wannabe. Brian Gumble's not a wannabe. He just speaks well. And he has to because he's a damn pundit. He's a commentator on NBC. He might not even talk like that. But that's just how we thought at that time. You couldn't. My point is, at least in that time, we pretty much all felt the same about everything. When you in the 80s, most black people felt the same about black shit, right? You didn't because a lot of our celebrities did that. A lot of our celebrities, like as soon as they left the hood, they got with a white person, and it was so many of them doing it that you can't say, well, it's just because I love her. Like there was so many of us doing it that you know that it had to do with that sense of white supremacy that's grinding around in our minds and shit. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But I don't want to continue any of this stuff into the future. I'm tired of arguing with conscious people. I'm tired of arguing with gays and straights. I'm tired of arguing with different people that want to sing Kumbaya. I'm tired of arguing with people who want to talk a lot of shit about what the white man did to us, but don't have no solutions lined up. I'm tired of black people who are conscious, who don't know how to treat people. We know all this shit and don't know how to treat another person. So you can know everything it is to know about the history of Alex Haley or whatever it is. But when it comes to how to just be a person of your word or treat somebody with respect, say thank you, acknowledge the little person or whatever it is, you can't do that. So I'm trying to take away this big lofty thing that we've made up. That's not really where the struggle is at. The struggle is down here on the ground, y'all, with basic shit. How you treat fellow man, how you treat fellow black person, how you see yourself really when you look in that mirror. How a lot of us would, especially in the conscious community on the low, you would take a pill if there was a pill to make you lighter or to make you as light as you could be without being white or to make you white. You would take that pill. It's just that you know that that pill probably will never exist. So you're like, I'm pro-black. But if somebody came in secret and told you, hey, you could be white tomorrow if you just do this, half of you niggas would do it. You know what I mean? So I'm tired of all of that. I get tired of arguing with pro-black people that I kind of know that if certain things was a certain way, you wouldn't even really be, you know what I mean? Then you got those of us that don't want to heal this problem because our platforms are built around it. Let's talk about that. There's a lot of us who have built platforms around being pro-black, around black people problems. And to the place where if those problems were to start to heal, that person wouldn't acknowledge it because their platform would suffer, right? It's kind of like as long as black people are sick, I, Dr. Pro-Black, have a platform, right? But now that black people are starting to heal, I don't want them to heal because it makes everything I'm standing on less important. Do you feel what I mean? So there's people like that too. They don't really want us to heal. They want to complain. They want to have a thing to fuss about. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, I'm not saying that Farrakhan is this way. I don't know Farrakhan personally. But let's just say racism was to heal up tomorrow. And there would be no, and there's no more, racist, like truly no more racism and biases and shit. What would Farrakhan talk about? What would Umar Johnson talk about? Right? I'm not saying he wouldn't have anything to talk about. I'm just curious to know, like literally a question. Some of us wouldn't have anything new to talk about because it would be like, damn, I wanted to keep complaining about what the white man was doing to us. Now, I didn't mean to name Umar Johnson like he's a complainer. I actually like Umar Johnson. I like Umar Johnson. And I don't agree with everything he says, but I still like him. You know what I mean? Because I feel like in his heart, he does really care about our people and he is trying to do something. But again, everybody has their different opinions about him too. I just used him as a random example. It could be anybody. I'm just saying people who preach about race, if racism was to heal, which we know it never will just heal. But if it was to heal up in enough of a place where black people finally get to stop feeling inferior. A lot of us who have built our platforms around the inferiority complexes of black people wouldn't have we would kind of be disappointed because it's like, damn, now I'm about to talk about healing. Because what I've learned from doing these videos, when I talk about something that's wrong with us, sometimes I get a lot more views than sometimes when I'm talking about a plan for healing us. Something we can actually do to heal the babies. I don't always get as much of a response from you guys, like as when I'm talking. If I'm talking more about Like when I was talking about how racist Halloween is, there was a lot of people in the chat that day because I was dissing white supremacy. So it's like, oh, I love dissing white supremacy. Let's go. But then now let's talk about what the fuck we gonna do. You lose half the audience right there. Because they ain't not trying to do nothing. It's entertaining. Racism is entertaining. The white people raiding the White House, that shit was entertaining. Trump, with his racist ass, he's very entertaining. Some of us already miss his racism. I kind of do, right? So that's all I'm saying, man. We got a long way to go, and a lot of the healing that we have to do as black people, it doesn't just deal with how we look at ourselves as being black, as being bad or good. It also deals with our morale, our morals as a people. We've lost that sense of how to treat each other, and so it's making our race look like we are kind of that race that everybody says we are. Oh, black people ain't hitting on shit. They don't take care of their kids. They don't do whatever. The way we view ourselves and the way that we don't get that, okay, yeah, like Oprah. Like a lot of people still like Oprah. Like I like Oprah because Oprah did this for blacks and that. But I look at the way Oprah has treated people like Monique, like Ludacris, like different people that she has roasted and treated them shitty. If you don't know if you know the Monique story and the Oprah story, but it's bad. It's real bad. Oprah ain't shit. Now, my mama been saying that. My mama been saying that since the 90s about Oprah. Because she saw how Oprah was, how she treat black people different than she treat white people. And she pointed it out. And I couldn't deny it. I'm like, she does do that. But because we love Oprah, we're not supposed to say nothing about that. But no, Oprah, and I was so glad when Gail and Oprah did that shit. Because now everybody got to see what kind of person she really is. But because she got money and fame, most of us will still kiss her ass if we met her. We'd still kiss her ass. And she did Monique dirty. Because Monique has a mother that was like on drugs, and you know she has a bad relationship with her mother. I don't know if she was on drugs, but she has a really horrible relationship with her mother, right? In her mind, her mother is her mother, but she really thinks her mother is kind of like not the greatest person, right? And Oprah knows this. You know, they've both been through abuse and stuff like that. And Oprah called her one day, and they had this long heart-to-heart about being abused and these different things they went through. So she thought Oprah was a homie with her. You know what I mean? Time went on. I might not have every detail right, but time went on. Oprah decides she's going to have Monique's mother and her brother. I think her brother molested her or something crazy. There's something real crazy in her history with her immediate family. I think her brother touched her or something like that. And she said, I'm going to have your brother on the show, and I'm going to have... I don't think she said her mother was going to be on the show, but she said, I'm going to have your brother on the show. Would you like to come onto the show? She said, your brother wants to come clean about what he did. He feels bad. Would you like to be on the show? And she said, well, I ain't gonna front. I don't never want to be in the same room with him again. In so many words, but I don't want to rob him of his chance to apologize, you know? So fine. You want to have my brother on the show? That's fine. So Oprah, knowing all that stuff that she knew, that she was told in confidence by Monique turns up with Monique's mother on the show. And I mean, Oprah turns up with Monique's mom on the show and just saying all of this crazy stuff that she was told in confidence by Monique. She had her mother on the show knowing that, because she was like, had you told me my mother was going to be on the show, I wouldn't have gave you my blessing to do that. I gave you my blessing with my brother because you told me about my brother. But had you told me that about my mom, I wouldn't have agreed to. I wouldn't have wanted it. Oprah knew that. That's why she went behind her back and had the woman on the show anyway. Right? So then Monique, yeah, she disrespected Michael Jackson. I do not like Oprah at all. Right? So then Monique tries to hit Oprah up. She can't get Oprah to answer the phone. Oprah's ducking her, right? So then there's this event, I think, that Alfre Woodard has every year. And she has all the black women who are important at this event. She says, Alfre Woodard, so Alfre Woodard, I think, says, so is there anything out that anybody wants to say or something she said. So Monique goes in. She's like, look, Oprah did me like this. I've been trying to settle this with her for a long ass time. Right, because Oprah didn't know she was going to be at the joint, right? I've been trying to settle this with her for a long ass time. She confronted Oprah in front of all these celebrities, and they were like, oh my God. But Oprah couldn't, I can't remember what Oprah said back or whatever it was, but it was bad, right? It was bad. Fast forward to the movie Precious, right? Monique does Precious. Monique, Lee Daniels, who does the Empire show, is responsible for Precious, right? So y'all seen Precious. Precious is this horrible movie that is just has all these stereotypes in it, and it's just bad. And the savior is a light-skinned savior, a light-skinned lady. You know, the lesbian lady is the savior of the movie. She's light-skinned. Meanwhile, and she's small and cute. And meanwhile, Precious is fat and black, and I guess she's supposed to be ugly. So, what she do? She steal the chicken and go running down the street with the chicken and all of this crazy shit she had to do. Of course, Monique plays this demonic ass mother who's molesting her child, right? Who's letting the father have sex with her with Precious, and she throwing she throwing pots and pans and tried to drop the TV on the girl and the baby and all this other craziness, right? So already, I think for Monique, the movie, because Monique is pro-black, and Monique has come a long way as a person, right? Monique is amazing, and I love Monique because she stands up, she plays chess. She plays chess right, Kai, and she stands up for what's right, even if it's going to make her unpopular among her celebrity friends, right? Because that's what they do in Hollywood. They look the other way while people get molested. They look the other way while so-and-so is told, hey, I need you to put this dress on, right? They look the other way, and they just take the check. They take the paycheck, right? So that they can get this career. And then here along comes Monique, a whistleblower, and you're trying to shut her up because she's telling the truth. Right? So she's like, look, you know, Lee Daniels and them got me to do the movie. And apparently Lee Daniels, Oprah, and Tyler Perry all have like a connection, right? I think Lee Daniels is the protege of Tyler Perry or something like that. But, you know, they real catty and you know, Lee is gay. And then Tyler, I think Tyler's gay and just, you know, doesn't know how to admit it. But whether he is or he isn't, he is very catty and feminine. So according to Monique, they talk about each other like dogs, right? Lee talk about Tyler talk about Lee, right? Dissing each other. They did the movie. One thing that Monique said that she really didn't want to do this time with her newer children or whatever it was, she says, when I used to do my career, it was at the expense of my relationship with my children. She said, I'm done doing that. I don't want to keep doing that. I'll do Precious, but now after I fulfilled my contractual obligations, I'm done and I'm about to move on with my life because I want to be with my family, right? So the movie's done. Of course, it's a big hit and a big success. You know, white supremacy love movies like Precious, right? So they're like, hey, we're over here in Europe. Why don't you come to Europe and do these interviews, right? Because, you know, when you have a movie, then you have to appear on the Tonight Show and the Late Show and Jimmy Kimmel and all of that. So your agent has you appearing at these different places so you can help roll the movie out. So she agreed contractually to do that in America, but she did not agree to do that in other countries. So she did it in America. She was done. Hey, please, we want you to come to the opening in France. We want you to come to the opening in Germany, wherever, right? So she's like, no, I have to respectfully decline on that, right? So then they're mad at her. So then they get Tyler Perry and Oprah to try to start contacting her or whatever. Now, I don't get me wrong. Don't quote me on the timeline of this. I think Oprah might have did the thing after. No, because Oprah's show was over with, I think, by the time Precious came out. So this was during when Oprah was still live and kicking with her show. So yeah, I think she did that thing with the parents, with having Monique's parents on. I think she did that before Precious. But anyway, not sure. So they start trying to get at Monique, and they're really trying to convince her to go to Europe and do all these things. And she's like, I'm sorry. I fulfilled my contract. Now, by this time, she has her new man, her husband, who is also her manager, and they are like this, right? They call each other king and queen. They call each other mommy and daddy. Like, they call each other mommy and daddy. Like, that's how I call my man daddy. And people be like, how can you call him daddy? I'm like, because he called me mommy. And that's my baby daddy, right? And it's sexy. I like calling him daddy. That shit's sexy. Anyway, she's like that. Like, her and her man are close. She would never let nobody say nothing disrespectful about her man. Her man would never let nobody say nothing disrespectful about her. And Hollywood already does not like that. She put her man up in front, and she's like, kind of like, right there with her. Like, look, you know, I'm Monique, but I'm not treating my husband like he ain't shit because he's not a celebrity. He's a great manager. He cares about me, and he teaches me how to play this game right. So you could see that she start perking up more since she's been with that husband. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. Her husband was the manager at the time. And then he started talking to Lee and them like, okay, look, blah, blah, blah. So it got real ugly because then Lee started going on interviews saying that she was difficult to work with. Right. And she came out. And again, she from Baltimore. Right. And I went to school in Baltimore, and Chaos from Baltimore, too. So everybody expected her to be ratchet Baltimore Monique, right? But she's like, Monique kind of, like I said, Monique got knowledge herself on the low. So Monique said, well, no, she's real respectful. She said, I'm not difficult to work with, blah, blah, blah. And she started using her own platforms to tell her own story. And this is how Oprah got put out there, and Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry. Of course, it hasn't stopped them from making their moves. But I have officially not liked Oprah for a long, long time. But that really, really did it. The way she did Ludacris, though, that was when I was like, I really can't fuck with Oprah. Do y'all remember that movie Crash? They came out. It's a pretty good movie, right? It's about racism, and it's about prejudice and stuff like that. But it has a kind of a 6 degrees of separation type thing going. So like they'll show one story, and then it will relate in a weird way to the next story, and then all the stories tie together. So it's like 4 stories being told about different races of people, and all the stories relate, right? So that's the movie Crash. Right? So Ludacris is in this movie, and he actually plays a pro-black person, which is interesting. He'd be like, hey, man, that's racist, and he'd be like, well, because the white man and the black man, da-da-da-da. That's his character. So great character in the movie, right? So this movie made a lot of awards, and it made a big splash. So Oprah is going to have everyone on the show, right? Except Ludacris. And then Ludacris people hit her up, and they're like, why are you not inviting Ludacris to be on the Crash show? And Ludacris was really offended by this. He was really hurt. But I already knew how Oprah was, so I wasn't surprised. But she said, I think his music is too misogynistic and shit, and I don't want him on the show. He does music that's not good for women, and na-na-na-na-na, right? Meanwhile, right, she don't have no problem with having none of these other people on the show. She's like, oh, Sandra Bullock, da-da-da, right? So, again, people like this, some of them have played in, like she loves De Niro and people like that. They played movies where they've had to shoot up rooms full of people and all this kind of mobster movies about killing everybody and getting away with it and all that. They've had to play racist characters. They had to play whatever. But because they're actors, I guess that's okay with Oprah, right? Really, it's because they white. So Ludacris's people beg her basically to let him be on the show. She agrees, and he's on the show. And he's sitting there on the end looking crazy, right? And I was like, this bitch Oprah. Meanwhile, she loves her some Jay-Z, don't she? She loved Beyonce and Jay-Z. Is Jay-Z's music not been misogynistic? Jay-Z's music was worse than Ludacris's. Ludacris didn't really have that misogynistic of a music to me. But Jay-Z, though? 6 a.m, I'll be kicking her out. And I'll be digging her out. All kinds of shit he done said and did. Streets is watching little document. Not the streets is watching little film that they made. They popping champagne all over bitches. You know what I'm saying? Very misogynistic music and visual display. Way worse than Ludacris. But she loves Jay-Z. Jay-Z and Beyonce. That's what she says when it's time for them to be on the show, right? Beyonce, ass out. Fresh from having a baby. Drive her roll up the partition. She slide her ass right down the pole, don't she? She slides her ass down the pole like you swiping a credit card, and then lands on a reflection of her ass. Right? I'm not judging her. I'm just saying that why is it okay for Beyonce to do that? Why is it okay for Beyonce to sell sex like that? But it's not okay for Ludacris to do it. Beyonce and Lady Gaga, who Oprah loves. Lady Gaga and Beyonce are in that one video phone or whatever, where they poison everybody in a restaurant and then do a dance number all around their dead bodies. They kill all the men like in the video and do a dance number all around their dead bodies. You don't see nothing weird or sick about that or satanic about that, Oprah? You know what I mean? She just got a double ass standard, right? So I don't like her. All right. And I don't even know how I got into all this shit about Oprah. I really, really don't. But all I'm saying is back to the babies, back to the doll test and not wanting to be black. All this shit is related to the fact that we don't want to be black. A lot of us, even those of us who are pro-black, a lot of times don't really want to be black. We just don't know. We just know we don't have a choice. So we'll say, hey, everybody, fist in the air. But that psychological shit, that's Oprah for you. That's right. That psychological shit is in you, fam. And you're not exempt. So you know if these babies are going to pick that black doll because that black doll is bad in their minds. You know that you as an adult, you've had years of what that baby only had 5-10 years of. You've had 40 years of it, 50 years of it. So something is wrong with you. You ain't all the way right. And you got to admit that shit to yourself. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us, we in the peace. How you doing, Rhubarb? Haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing all right. You know what I mean? These days and times rough. So it's good to hear from you. All right? So yeah, man, really I am about to round it up. I added another 30 minutes on, you know what I mean, because people started coming in. I appreciate having y'all. This is definitely not going to be the last time I talk about these things. Let me pull up my schedule so I can tell y'all what I'm doing next, and then I genuinely will let you go. Everyone who has supported me, I appreciate it. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your your ideas, your chime-ins, whatever. Let's just raise this generation to do better, to feel better about themselves, and they're just going to make better decisions, all right? Teach them how to treat fellow man, not just other black people, but fellow man in general, and everybody will be better for it. Trust me on that, all right? So, let me see. Next up, I have coming. So, like I told you, later on today, I'm going to play School Days on Twitch. Here it is. Here's my schedule. You know what? I don't have the one that I wrote up. So anyway, I'll show you what I am going to do just in general right quick. Look at this. Real quick. I don't know if y'all can see this. Let me make it bigger. That's what he said and all that stuff. Okay. So on Sundays, let me say this. I am a voice actor. I've said this before. So my schedule is all over the place. So I cannot guarantee that I'm going to go live any of these days. But when I do go live, I'm trying to go live at least every other day. When I do go live, for those of you who join me on Twitch, I will be spinning music, like spiritual music and reggae music. By spiritual, I don't really mean gospel, but I just mean good music that make you feel good about yourself. And reggae, if I don't do that, I will be sketching, just doing freestyle sketching on Sundays. Like every other Sunday, like doing some graffiti in my black book or doing a portrait or something like that. Mondays, I do some gaming. Since I am Black Girl Gamer, I need to do some gaming, right? I do gaming, Monday movie reviews and gaming. Tutorial Tuesday, aka Trans Tuesday, because I spin house music and shit like that on Tuesday. You know what I mean? On Twitch. All right? But for sure, a tutorial on Tuesday. So what did I say I was going to teach you guys? I'm either going to do a voice acting tutorial on Tuesday, or I'm going to do a tutorial about how to what was it? Oh gosh, I got you. I'm gonna let y'all know before the time comes. Wednesdays we watch crappy flicks. We call it Crap Flicks and Chill, or it's Wellness Wednesday. So y'all know this past Wednesday I talked about damn, I can't remember nothing. I'm getting old, y'all. I just talked about something on Wellness Wednesday, and I really dropped the jewel. So you can go back a couple of days and look at my video, because that was one of my better videos, for real. What was my video about, y'all? For those who were there, I don't remember, but it was Wellness Wednesday. I need to ease up on this ganja. Throwback Thursday, aka Thirsty Thursday. That's when I spin some sexy ass music for you nyokos, okay? Black Friday, that's today. I talk about black shit and I do black shit. I play black video games. I talk about black issues. We watch black movies and everything is black. And then Saturday we watch food flicks and we do a little bit of gaming, okay? So you can keep up with me like this. I love y'all. Everybody make a fist right quick. For those who are still there, I'm about to hand out some dap. I'm about to come in slow with it. That was fast. Let me come in slower. Bang. I love you guys, man. Next time you see a black child feeling sad, please, man. Please, yo. Instill in them that they are the most beautiful. Those children talking about how ugly they felt were the most beautiful children I had ever seen. And that's what was blowing me. I'm looking at these children like, look at these beautiful children that don't think they're beautiful. We can't have that no more. This is it. This is the age of Aquarius, and I'm an Aquarius. It's time to change this shit now, y'all. All right? So I'll check y'all on the next go round. I love you.